Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, there we go. Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Caroline Fenn's here today. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Outstanding. Ian Safar is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
I just want everybody to know, 6 years ago today, Jared and the GM was launched as a program. Ian joined us about a week and a half later and never really went away.
Still here.
Ian joined us on basically like a part-time basis, right? At the beginning?
That's a good question. We were in a little bit of a management flux at the time.
It was a very odd situation. But
Yeah.
anywho,
Yep.
Ian showed up a week later, and now here we are. So,
A happy anniversary to you and the GM and Ian.
Thank you. So a lot of people didn't think we were going to make it, and then, here we are. So, I have got to start on this. And I was thinking about, because I listen to a lot of Nashville sports radio, whether it's me or Joe or the Midday or Robbie, whatever. I listen to a lot of it. And I just don't hear a lot of talk about the Indianapolis Colts. And then I'm starting to look at myself in the mirror and wonder if I spend too much time thinking about the Indianapolis Colts. Well, I watched the Indianapolis Colts this weekend, and I'm not convinced that there's anything more important than this. They stunk.
It wasn't great.
They stunk. And we're talking about the first team offense. Like everybody except for Jonathan Taylor was out there for the Colts. And they were up against the second team Bills defense. And they freaking were awful. I mean, I remember when the Matt Ryan trade happened and automatically the sports books in Vegas went right to Titans and Colts are dead even. And then A.J. Brown got traded, and every sports book said Colts over Titans. And I, even today, have been saying over and over again, I look at the two teams, and I think they're even in a lot of places. I think the Titans are far, 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 in a way, better at coach than the Colts, which we'll get to him in a second. But the one thing is the schedule. The Colts have an easier schedule. The Titans have to play Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. And even if they miss one of those guys because of an injury, they're going to have to play the other two. And those guys are going to be good, and their teams are going to be good because those guys are good. And whereas the Colts get the Steelers, which we'll get to them too, because the Steelers, they balled Saturday. The Steelers, the Vikings, and the Patriots. And so that has always been to me what I would say I'd put the Colts ahead. So I sit down, I watch the game. It's on NFL Network. I'm watching the game, and immediately I have to do a search, almost like I have to have binoculars or something and look out there and say, okay, are the Bills playing their regular defensive players? And they weren't. They had a rookie first-round pick at corner, a rookie sixth-round pick at corner. Von Miller, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, all those guys did not play. So this is Matt Ryan, the Colts offense with that line with Kelly and Nelson and Braden Smith. Those guys are all out there. Michael Pittman's out there. The only guy who didn't play was Jonathan Taylor. And so they had Nyheim Hines out there, and they were throwing the ball to Nyheim Hines a lot, and they looked awful. At one point, the first team offense of the Colts was 1 for 5 on third down. They had to go for it a bunch on fourth down. And Frank Reich was asked about it after the game, and Frank Reich said the reason they went for it a bunch on fourth down is because they wanted to get the total number of snaps that they had for the first team offense in. It was like, we want to get 20 snaps in or whatever. And they were going 3 and out so much that they needed to go for it on some fourth downs in order to up the snap count total. And so they looked awful. And I know it's the preseason. and that this is the time to work the kinks out. But this is why I think they looked so bad, because they have one receiver, and that's it. Michael Pittman is good, and Michael Pittman's good. He ain't great. He's good. He's not, like the AJ or DK Metcalf or, Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase. He's not one of those guys. He's good. He's not great. They got one receiver. Other than that, this Alec Pierce that they drafted out of Cincinnati, he couldn't get open. This Austin Doolin or whomever they're running out there, never heard of him. They got Mo Alley Cox, who is, I believe, a good backup tight end, who's their number one tight end. Now, maybe, Pierce is a rookie. Maybe he develops. Maybe this was a big moment for him. I don't know. I'm not trying to talk good about the Colts. I'm also not trying to talk bad about the Colts. I'm just telling you what I saw, which was bad, 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 bad. This reminds me of when the Titans played a preseason game against the Jets in 2017. Ian, you remember that?
The preseason game against the Jets?
Uh-huh.
Awful.
I gave them an F. I spent the whole day saying F for the Titans. They got an F for that preseason game. And a lot of the 2017 season, the Titans underperformed. Now, they ended up winning a playoff game, which nobody expected after the season. But I got to say, Indy stunk. They were horrible against a second-team defense. And maybe Buffalo's second team is just so good that they are better than most teams' first teams. I doubt it, but maybe that's the case. But I think this is a huge development because all we've ever been told all offseason is that Matt Ryan to the Colts is the difference maker, and that Indy last year was a Super Bowl team that Carson Wentz was holding back so much so that they couldn't even make the playoffs, which we know is not true. But that was kind of the narrative, was that the Colts were so good that if it wasn't for Carson Wentz, that they probably would have won the Super Bowl, the way that people talk about the Colts. They got their quarterback, and he looked like a 37-year-old Pete Pop back there. I mean, they stunk. So, how big of a deal is it? How big of a deal is it? That's how we're starting today. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. How big of a deal is it that Indianapolis' first team against Buffalo's second team looked horrendous?
I mean, I think that's a pretty big deal.
It should be, right?
It should be. When you're running your ones out there, like if Nick Foles and the rest of the 2s and 3s were out there predominantly for the Colts and they looked bad, and they did, that's fine. To me, that's kind of a non-starter because that's not who the Titans are going to play in this regular season.
Yeah, like Malik did not look good on Thursday.
But that's fine.
But who cares?
That's fine. This is Matt Ryan. This is the guy who articles have been written about him over the past couple of months saying that he is so much like Peyton Manning, you wouldn't believe it. So many national talking heads saying, okay, well, the Indianapolis Colts got Matt Ryan, so that makes them, the best contender in the AFC South. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe, and I don't deny that Matt Ryan makes you better than having Carson Wentz, at least in the leadership aspect of things. But what we saw wasn't great.
It wasn't just not great. It was awful.
It was bad.
It was awful. The Colts were horrible.
And I think that you have to take that and say that's a big deal until you can see what the Colts do in their joint practices.
My thing
and
with
what they
the Colts,
do in the second preseason game. Is Matt Ryan going to play in this second preseason game?
I think Matt Ryan's playing in all three.
I think he should if you look like that in game one.
I mean, I will put it to you like this. In the preseason, I don't care about the end result of a game.
I don't either.
And I don't care about a team with an established player. If the established player does something, I'm not sure I necessarily care that much. But if it's somebody I've never seen before, or if it's something that there's a lot of promise that, oh, this will work, then I want to see it kind of work. Mm-hmm. With the Colts, they didn't do anything at receiver. They spent all offseason. The Colts, they like to sit on their cash. My guess is Irsay must have a tight wallet. Like, he must be, because, again, the salary cap, we know that doesn't matter. And every year the Colts brag about how much salary cap space they have. My guess is Irsay must say, like, hey, guys, we're not spending a lot of money this year. It has to be that because they sit on all that salary cap space and they never spend it. Well, they don't have any wide receivers except for Pittman. He's the only guy. And it was so obvious that Matt Ryan, those guys weren't getting open for him. At one point, he just fell down. Like, there was a pass rush, and he was looking for someone to throw to, and like a smart veteran quarterback would do in a preseason game, He just went down to the ground, just gave himself up. Like, I'm not trying this any longer. That's bad. Because what are the Colts going to do to go get receivers? There's no, what are they going to trade? I mean, at this point in the year, there's no Devontae Adams to go add. There's no Tyreek Hill to go trade for. Indianapolis, they're screwed. This is why I told you about the AJ thing, that once the draft comes and goes, then they're stuck with whatever decision they make. They're stuck with it if AJ's on the team, and then they have to deal with the contract thing because they can't go replace AJ before or after the draft. And what they do? They traded him and replaced him during the draft. Now, did they actually replace him? That's a debate. But for the Colts, they don't have any receivers. They have no receivers except for Pittman. No tight ends. Their second best receiver is their running back, Nyheim Hines. And I think that's great. I think they should throw the ball to Nyheim Hines more. Because if Nyheim Hines is on the football field, who's not on the football field?
If Nyheim Hines is on the football field?
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor's off the field. So I love that idea. I mean, to me, this is a big deal. Like, if I was a Colts fan, I would not listen to my coach. Because the coach is a freaking lollipop giver. Like, he is, and we'll get to him in a second. But if I was a Colt fan, I would be furious with that performance. If the Titans performed that way, if Tannehill and crew went out and looked that helpless against another team's second team, I would be beside myself. I'm telling you, that first half of that Buffalo game with Matt Ryan, and we'll go over the notes in just a second, that first half of that Buffalo game for the Colts made me think that right now I have the Colts slightly ahead of the Titans because of the three opponents. I might change my mind.
How much is there an element involved here of Matt Ryan and these receivers and this offensive line, this offense as a whole, just needs more experience? And after 3 preseason games or maybe, a couple games in the regular season under their belt, they figure things out.
Which is, why do you play the preseason? If you're going to play it,
to
it's to get better
those
for the
kinks out.
right. I'm not feeling it.
Are you not feeling it because you don't want to feel it?
No, I'm not.
Because you want the Colts to be bad?
I'm not feeling it because I didn't see the players. Like, I didn't see the potential for that to happen. I didn't see, and I'll say it's kind of like Radens, who we'll get to in a second. There's a difference between had a bad game and not a good player.
Yeah.
And Radens, according to a lot of people who I trust, is really starting to fall into the not a good player category. And
I think
that's,
you can kind of take that away from a lot of the discussion happening around the team.
That's what I noticed from the Colts passing game.
Yeah.
Is just not good enough players. And there's no way to fix that. If your team's not good enough, the only way to fix that is to hand the ball off to the running back 50 times a game. And the coach is adamantly against that, Frank Reich, for whatever reason, because I guess he knows better than everybody else, even though he's won one playoff game in 5 years. So with that, we're starting on the Colts. 615-737-1025. I know people think that I am prone to hyperbole. I am not kidding when I tell you that the Colts were freaking terrible. I mean, that Colts offense was horrible, including one where Case Keenum threw an interception, like inside his own 15. The Colts started 1st and goal, had a 4th and goal from the 2, and got called for a false start and had to kick a field goal. It was bad. 615-737-1025. Your reaction, 615-737-1025. The difference between the Titans and the Colts, the one thing that I know without a doubt the Titans are better at than the Colts, and it rears its head almost every time they play, was on display Saturday. I'll explain. That's next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman & Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you sick and tired of constant pain in your knees, hips, or back? Especially this time of the year. You need to be moving pain-free, right? Hey, Willie Donick here for the team at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, giving them lasting pain relief using the latest advances in regenerative medicine. The science is simple. They concentrate your own body's healing agents and apply them to your aching joints. restoring and repairing the damaged tissue. No drugs, no steroids, no surgery. The old remedies for pain are not the only remedies. You need to learn more about how regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can change your life. Make this the last summer you suffer from chronic pain. They've got clinics here and all over America. This is the exciting new, natural way to deal with joint pain. No side effects, no downtime. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Rounds, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Offensively, there were a lot of good signs as well. You know, I thought we had a good mix. Still need to get better at certain places, but we'll take a good look at the film. I thought, you know, Matt looked pretty sharp. I really thought Matt looked sharp. I thought Nick, you know, really bounced back well, and obviously Sam looked good as well.
There you go. Frank Reich, once again. Hey, I know everybody's talking about how our offense stunk so bad, but I thought Matt Ryan was sharp. Matt Ryan, 6 of 10, 58 yards, 4 series, and 2 of them were 3-and-outs, including the one where they got the ball inside the 10-yard line, inside the Buffalo 10 off of a turnover. They had 4th and goal from the 1, and Braden Smith, the right tackle, jumped, and they had to bring out Hot Rod to kick a field goal. But Frank Reich told you all, hey, our offense is good, even though they were terrible. Now, I know a lot of people are going to think I'm biased, and they're going to say, oh, well, Jared's just making a big deal about, you know, Indianapolis and how, oh, they stink because he's a homer, which is funny because you know that if the opposite had happened, like if Indy had balled out, I'd be in here being like,
You'd be scared.
the Colts!
The Colts are good.
The Colts! Instead, here I am saying like, man, they stunk up the joint. But not according to Coach Sunshine. Not according to him. They were good. Now, if you don't take my word for it, here's what Pat McAfee said on the Pat McAfee show today. You know, McAfee, former longtime Colt.
Who is a Colts homer.
He's a Colts homer, and he's not
He's
not even concerned about it. This was McAfee today on the McAfee show.
With Darius Butler.
With Darius Butler, who also played on the Colts with McAfee. This was McAfee today.
All those pass catchers are going to have to develop fast and on the fly because you got a 37-year-old quarterback who's going to be, in the pocket. And when he gets back to that 5th, to that 7th drop, he's going to need you in your spots making plays. It's not, I know people, throwing you open and all this stuff. You got to get open, you got to win, and then you got to catch the ball. And we didn't do a good job of that. But it's early. It's preseason.
We got time.
And thankfully, we got another month before, we kick off the real thing.
We got nothing but time. Matt Ryan's holding everybody accountable.
Yeah, that's right.
We got nothing but time. That was a tough watch. They got nothing but time. They got nothing but time. That was
I saw you try to calm everybody down. You probably was talking to yourself.
Yes.
I mean, it was bad.
Nothing but time.
It was
Season
bad.
only starts in a month, but
Steve Tasker was on my SiriusXM show this morning, and I asked him because he was calling the game. Steve Tasker, longtime player, probably should be in the Hall of Fame. Long time with CBS. Now he does the Bills games, and he was doing the Bills game on TV. And I asked Steve Tasker, hey, was it the second string Bills defense that was really good, or was the Colts offense really bad? I know they didn't have Jonathan Taylor out there, but other than that, it was their starting offensive line, starting receivers, Matt Ryan at quarterback. What did you think of Indianapolis's offense on Saturday?
They looked a little rusty. It didn't look like Matt Ryan was completely comfortable with the guys out on the outside. Certainly the Bills had some very young corners on the edges, Kyer Elam and Christian Benford, a first-round draft pick and a sixth-round draft pick, and they played extremely well, those young guys. They were very happy with how those guys played. They were extremely happy with the coverage they had in the back end.
I'm sure they were.
But I can't chalk it all up to the great play of those young corners. I think a little of it was the chemistry that's still building with Matt Ryan and those guys on Indianapolis.
Now, Steve Tasker.
They knew that was going to come out somewhere.
Steve Tasker played with Frank Reich. So he's not going to throw Frank Reich under the bus.
No.
But think about this. Frank Reich. Ian, can we get that Frank Reich cut again? I know I'm making you punch in a bunch of stuff here. Can we get the Frank Reich cut again? Because you heard McAfee being like, we got time. God, that was awful. And you heard Tasker like, oh, yeah. And Tasker's a Bills guy. So he's like, oh, yeah, the defense played well in the first-round pick and the sixth-round pick. But, yeah, no, it was Matt Ryan and those receivers. This was Reich again after the game.
Offensively, there were a lot of good signs as well. I thought we had a good mix. Still need to get better at certain places, but we'll take a good look at the film. I thought, Matt looked pretty sharp. I really thought Matt looked sharp. I thought Nick, really bounced back well, and obviously Sam looked good as well.
So here are my
Nick
notes.
bounced back well, I think, is so funny because he had no other option after turning the ball over on back-to-back plays.
Oh, yeah.
He bounced back well. That is the most sunshine and rainbows.
I could go back into how Foles stunk too, but I don't care
It
about
doesn't
Foles.
matter. No.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that, hey, Matt looked sharp, and, hey, Sam, our third-string quarterback,
I
also
like
looked
him.
pretty good.
Like him, he's a good kid. I don't know if he's a good football player,
I'm not attacking his character.
but he's a good kid. Now, here you go. Here are the notes. First offensive drive. 1, Ryan makes one easy throw. 2, incomplete for Alec Pierce, 3 and out. Second offensive drive. 1, first and goal to start. 2, Matt Ryan uses second down for a gimme short pass to Hines. 3, third and goal from the 2. Hines doesn't get the 2 yards for a touchdown. 4, false start Colts. Field goal Colts. Third drive. Ryan on the move makes a play to Pittman. Nice run by Hines. Punt. And then at that point, I stopped taking notes because it was so bad. And it just, Indianapolis, they were terrible. I'm telling you. And apparently they're going to play their starters in the second game, and they're going to play their starters for the entire half. Supposedly, according to Coach Lollipop, they are going to play their starters for the entire first half of the third game. Now, I yesterday signed up for an NFL Plus account, which means that I will be able to watch, even whether it's condensed game after the fact or in live time, be able to watch the Colts preseason games. I will see if this offense improves. Right now, as we always do, we make our predictions right before the first game of the season. I told you all offseason, I was leaning Colts over Titans. I am thinking about changing my mind after what I saw Saturday. Now, it's not completely fair because I didn't see the Titans' first-team offense play in the preseason. So, there was nothing to take away from Julius Chestnut or Malik Willis or any of those guys other than McMath had a nice game and Burks didn't have a nice game. There was nothing else to take away from the game on Thursday night with the Titans because nobody really played. The Colts played everybody except for Taylor. And so I feel like there's a lot to take away. And I got to tell you, the offensive line for the Colts, I was disappointed in the line because I was thinking about the Colts and their offensive line. And because Quentin Nelson is such a road grader, it's anytime somebody talks about the Colts, it's, oh, that Colts offensive line, boy, I tell you. And I'm sitting there watching them third and goal from the 2, and they can't punch it into the end zone. And the running back matters for sure. But it's not like when Derrick Henry went down, the Titans couldn't run the football anymore. Titans ran the ball well when Derrick Henry wasn't in there.
With a not-so-great offensive line.
With what must be a great run-blocking offensive line and a terrible pass-blocking offensive line. Must be that way. But, which is funny because Quessenberry and Saffold are both starters now for the Bills. It's funny, they signed Quessenberry to not start. Now he's starting for Buffalo.
Funny how that works.
I think Buffalo brought him in as like, oh, yeah, he'd be a good swing tackle for us.
Titans' offensive line rejects are just going to
now
Buffalo.
Saffold was old. But those guys apparently must be good run blockers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't run the ball. What's the point of the Buffalo Bills having Roger Saffold? They don't run the ball. The quarterback runs the ball. But other than that, they don't run the ball. But I digress off of that. I am thinking about putting the Titans ahead of the Colts. And the number one reason, and I've said this the whole time, like this is not something new. Like this is not, oh, Jared's playing favorites or something like that. Coach has always been the gap between these two teams for me, where I do not think it is close. I think Mike Vrabel is such a good coach, especially compared to Frank Reich, who I think, I don't know if Reich does the PR spin thing. I don't know if he does that because he thinks that will help with his job security. Oh, Colin Cowherd goes on TV and talks about how I'm such a great coach. I don't know if that's why he does it or if he's just one of those really positive people that no matter what, he can't say anything bad ever. I don't know. He might be one. He might be the other. Hard for me to tell. But clearly he has a hard time telling people what they need to hear. Because even after the Colts got knocked out of the playoffs in the most embarrassing way possible last year against the Jags, even after all that happened, on Hard Knocks, he got up there in front of the team and told them that they were all champions.
Yeah, that was the most juice box and fruit snacks.
It was a Little League
from
team thing.
A coach.
I mean, it was a Little League team. And I every time I turn on the TV, and maybe Frank Reich is just such a nice guy and such a positive person. Like if Chris Sanders was the head coach. Like maybe that's what this is. But I mean, this man, he was not looking at reality on Saturday. And that's good news for the Titans. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. FanDuel Sportsbook, that is my official sportsbook app. The NFL season is here. Week 1 odds are out. And now is the time to try FanDuel if you haven't already. Get in on all the action early this season. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. In the little copy here, it says, go ahead and talk about what you would talk about betting. The Indianapolis Colts are plus 2,200 to win the Super Bowl, which are the same odds as the Bengals, and I cannot get over that after what I saw Saturday. That team is not winning the Super Bowl. So instead of telling you what you can bet on, I'm telling you plus 2,200. If the Bengals odds are the same as the Colts and one team has Joe Burrow and the other doesn't, I might have to go with the Joe Burrow team. But you've also got Derrick Henry winning the rushing title and other things you can choose from. Just sign up with the promo code JG and place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you do not win. There's no better place to get ready for the football season than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sports betting partner of the National Football League. Download FanDuel Sportsbook and use the promo code JGM to get your first bet with no sweat up to $1,000. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days and restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Titans training camp is underway.
Talking Titans?
What wide receivers make the team?
Traylon Burks, the physicality. Robert Woods, route concepts and how to get open.
Who starts on the offensive line?
It's a full-on right tackle battle.
What other storylines will stand out?
Malik Willis, some of the best he's looked in camp.
Titans training camp coverage is fueled by Parman Energy. Now hiring field drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com and by USA Hemp Store on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here to tell you Twin Peaks will hook you up for your fantasy football draft party, which includes a draft board, player stickers, free Wi-Fi, a $50 bonus for the commish, and a $5 bonus card for each drafter. And when you're not on the clock, relax with one of Twin Peaks' refreshing 29-degree beers, or order for the whole team with a Peak sampler full of fan favorites, or indulge in shareables like the double-stack nachos, loaded fries, and multiple flavors of boneless wings. Call Twin Peaks in Cool Springs today to book your fantasy football draft party at 615-221-0869.
Blue Raider fans, Fan Day is back and better than ever. Join us inside Floyd Stadium as we kick off the 2022 MTSU athletic season. Sunday, August 21st from 3 to 5. Don't miss live music from the popular band Everyday People, as well as countless family-friendly activities with inflatables, giveaways, photo booths, autograph and photo sessions with the Blue Raider football team, and free food. Stock up on your new Blue Raider gear as well. For more info on this year's Fan Day, visit BlueRaiders.com. Middle Tennessee, we are Blue United.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you are buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Does the addition of Matt Ryan make it the Colts division to lose the AFC South? Just putting that question to you.
I mean, everyone's saying that, and Vegas is saying that too. But the last time I checked, wasn't Tennessee the number one seed in the AFC last year?
Yeah. Yes.
They're in the top seed. They got the bye. Derrick Henry missed half the season. I mean, now I know it ended bad, and I know that, Tannehill threw 3 interceptions, and, he might not be the best in the top, top group of quarterbacks in the league. But this team, that was a gutty team last year. I don't know how all of a sudden everyone's jumping off the Titan bandwagon and jumping on the Colts bandwagon. Now, I think it's a 2-team race. I do think that. But I think until the Colts knock off the Titans, it's tough for me to go away from the Titans.
There you go. That was Charlie Weiss on SiriusXM NFL Radio. And again, I watched the Colts on Saturday. They stunk. First team offense, awful. Awful. First team defense looked fine. I think Keenum might have gone down there and kicked a field goal. I took notes on it, but then I got kind of bored watching the defense. But I did watch it. But the first team offense, again, Matt Ryan, those receivers, outside of Pittman, I don't know who he's going to throw the ball to. Naeem Hines is by far his second favorite target. They need to honestly put Hines and Taylor on the field at the same time. But let's get to your phone, 615-737-1025. And our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Indy Ben, Texan.
I was thinking about him on Saturday because he watched the Titans game on Thursday, and in the text line, he was talking some trash, and I was thinking literally yesterday, for some reason, I remember I was walking down the steps of my house, and I thought, I wonder what Indy Ben has to say about that Colts performance on Saturday. What did Indy Ben have to say?
Well, this is what he has to say. Even Reich said post-game they wanted to keep things very vanilla and not reveal much at all.
We didn't scheme.
Not worried about Matt Ryan, just like you aren't
scheme.
worried about Burks and apparently Tannehill as well. It always takes a few weeks to get into rhythm on offense for most NFL offenses.
We didn't scheme.
I knew that was going to be the number one argument was, well, it was just the first preseason game. Give them time.
We didn't scheme.
Give them time to build chemistry. Didn't scheme. Didn't want to give too much away because Reich's got all of these offensive guru plays just waiting in his back pocket, saving it for week one.
So yesterday I went to the Sounds throughout the first pitch, and it was like a Malik Willis throw. and it was
Joe
about
Milton.
5 feet over Booster's head.
Uh-huh.
Which, by the way, like you guys know me well enough. If you had to guess if I was going to overshoot it or undershoot it, which one do you think was going to happen?
Over.
Do not bounce the ball.
Bingo.
Over. Do not.
Like my dad and my best friend were sitting right there, like when I went to throw it, and they both laughed because they knew that was what was going to happen. So anywho, because like the manhood gets questioned if I bounce the ball.
It does.
And I'm not that I couldn't live with myself for that. But the reason that I feel that way is because the first time I ever threw out first pitch of the Sounds, Floyd said to me before I did it, he goes, "I want you to know one thing right now. I'm going to try to bleep it out myself, but he said, don't you dare bounce that ball." And I was like, "Yes, sir." And I must have been like 26. And I was like, "Yes." No, I was 25. I was like, "Yes, sir." And so I didn't. Threw a strike that time. Yesterday, no little practice warm-ups in the dugout with Joey Wendell, so I chucked the ball over Booster's head. But, and again, I can live with myself for that.
You even told me when I threw out the first pitch last year, you said, "I don't care if you throw it into the stands.
Don't you dare bounce that ball.
Don't bounce that
Don't you
freaking
bounce the ball." I could not live with my manhood if I had bounced the ball. But the point is that was a little thing that Floyd said to me that has stuck with me for forever. I remember the first year I was here. I was doing the mid-morning show, and Floyd was doing the afternoons with George and Willie. And the Titans, this was Ken Wisenhunt. This was the year they were 3-13. They were the worst team in the league. They were awful. And they were awful in the preseason. And I remember that the excuse for how freaking bad they were in the preseason was they're not scheming. It's going to take time for Mariota.
Yeah.
It's whatever. And I remember that excuse came up, and Floyd said, and they must have played a preseason game at Kansas City, and Floyd was like, it's one thing to scheme. It's another thing to let a guy run up the sidelines for 60 yards. Those are two totally different things. And so with the Colts, the excuse of the Colts weren't scheming, that's fine. But do you think that Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills are putting out their exotic defensive packages with their second team in the first preseason game against Indy?
No.
No. The receivers couldn't get open. The receivers for the Colts could not get open
against second-team
rookies,
corners.
Against rookies. And that's a problem for Indy. So Indy Ben can say whatever he wants. The Jonathan Taylor thing, I think that's at least worth discussing, right? Like, no Jonathan Taylor. If this team loses Jonathan Taylor, let's say, and I hope this doesn't happen because I don't root for injuries like this, but let's say Jonathan Taylor breaks his ankle tomorrow at practice. They're done.
Yeah.
Like, they're done. So I do wonder.
You could also argue, okay, Nyheim Hines comes in and is running back one, and then he kind of evolves as Matt Ryan's favorite target, and they kind of play a little bit more conservatively in short yardage situations. You can make that argument.
I mean, 3rd and 2
would
from the 2.
I wouldn't feel very confident.
Hines couldn't get 2 yards with a first-team offensive line against a second-team defensive line. Taylor probably gets 2 yards.
Probably
I would think.
Yeah.
So I go back to the Jonathan Taylor thing, which is if Jonathan Taylor's in there, does it make a difference? That's a fair question. He's not going to play in the preseason, so we won't know. But in every which way possible, I mean, it's fair to say that Matt Ryan might have been their best offensive player of their first team. And he didn't do anything special. He avoided a sack at one point and dropped it off to Pittman, who gained like 11 yards. Other than that, it was all checkdowns to the running back. But those receivers, to Indy Ben's point about we didn't scheme, if you can't get off the press in the NFL, Alec Pierce, who is their number 2 wide receiver, and Austin Doolin, I don't know the guy's name. But, Ian, you remember the old rule. You can't get off the press. You can't play in the NFL.
Can't be relied upon as a number 1 or number 2 if you can't consistently get off the press.
And if they can't beat these rookies, I mean, I don't know, Colts. I don't know. What's next?
Megan texts in and says, if I were a Colts fan, I would be really nervous about Matt Ryan meeting Jeffrey Simmons. If that was their starting O-line, yeesh.
So the Colts offensive line, I think, is probably going to be okay. Now, that could be a fair point. I would say this. The one thing I would say, because she said if I was a Colts fan.
Yeah.
If this were the Titans and they played a preseason game this poorly with their first team against the other team's second team, I'd be screaming for 4 hours. I mean, I would be so depressed.
I mean, I think it's a fair thing to be concerned about, but another thing, because you're always going to hear the chemistry aspect of it. If you're a Titans fan, let's say that happened, all things considered, that Ryan Tannehill is in there, first-team Titans offense against
Like
second-team
6 of 10,
defense.
50 yards, don't get first downs?
There is zero excuse for that.
Oh, my God, if that had happened.
Zero excuse.
So it's tough because it's not like the Titans didn't do that because they didn't play anybody. It's like Porth texted me the other day and asked how the Titans looked on Thursday night, and I texted back terrible. But it doesn't matter to me because nobody who played for the most part, other than Burks and McMath, nobody who matters played. So, I mean, the Malik stuff, yeah, like we'll talk about that. And I guess maybe the right tackle stuff, that was pretty terrible. But deep down inside, it wasn't like any of those, were at this level that Indy ran out there on Saturday. Whereas if the Titans had done that, if the Titans had played their starters, and let's say starters minus Derrick Henry, so Dontrell Hilliard's running the ball, and they had fumbled it like Julius Chestnut did to start the game, and Baltimore scores a touchdown against Landry and Dupree and Simmons and those guys, oh my God, I'd have been howling. I'd have been so upset if that had happened. I'd have felt the way I felt after the Titans beat the Colts last year in week 3, and then I was like, they're going to lose to the Jets. And I was like, oh, don't be mad about that. And everyone, oh, it's just preseason. But I'd have been losing my mind. I sat down to watch that game to think that it might be like a segment or two of like, yeah, Indy looked good doing this. Indy looked, a little bit rusty doing that. Indy, I'm like, come on. They looked, I'm telling you. And I'm not, look, I mean, I've been saying all summer that I think the Colts are ahead of the Titans because of the schedule. And I am really, really close to when we make our official predictions before the start of the season of putting the Titans ahead. I actually talked to somebody yesterday, Pro Football Focus. They don't know yet that I don't really like Pro Football Focus.
I would maybe keep that one in as long as possible if you've got a hookup over at that place.
Well, I will probably not have many more Pro Football Focus people on. But I was talking to somebody with Pro Football Focus, and they said that after watching the Colts against the Bills, they were going to take the Jags 7-1 to win the division.
Oh, my God.
Because of the odds that they get with Jacksonville, thinking like, okay, if it's a 2-team race between Tennessee and Jacksonville, all they have to do is hope the Titans slip up or have an injury or something.
One injury to one of those two teams.
Yeah. And then it pays, if you're Jacksonville, it pays 7-1 if you bet them for the division. I mean, I still don't think Jacksonville's going to win anything.
I wouldn't think that they were going to win anything, but hey, if it's 10 or 20 bucks, just a couple loose change here and there for 7-1 odds, crazier things have happened.
Did you see what the Jags fans did on Friday night?
I don't think so.
Did you see what the Jags fans did?
You talk about booing Watson?
Well, they didn't boo him.
No, I didn't. I heard they were booing Watson and stuff.
It was
as they should.
I forget exactly what the chant was, but it involved the F word, and it involved Watson and his character. So you know what?
Well, I mean, honestly, get prepared for a whole lot more of that.
So McAfee said today that he thinks that that's going to be for Watson for his entire career.
I wouldn't doubt that. And honestly, that's what you get. I don't feel bad for you, Deshaun Watson.
Watson did apologize over the weekend.
I'm
know
sure
if you saw
meant
that.
It. I did see that. Yeah, it felt very sincere.
It definitely felt sincere. It felt sincere, and it also felt like the timing was appropriate. It felt like
just like a month after all of this happened.
This was supposed to be. It was
because when you do something 26 times, I'm sure you're sorry about it.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025 here on the program. I do want to get to this because I found this to be incredibly fascinating. What I saw over the weekend. I feel better about the Titans after what I saw over the weekend. I think I just broke something again.
That's the second time in 42 minutes.
Well, there's like this cord that's under the table. Does this look like this goes to something?
It looks a little important.
I mean,
I can still hear you, and you can still hear me, so it might not be that important.
I guess. I don't know.
Sorry, Chase.
Yeah, whatever. I promise I'm not trying to break stuff in here. Anywho, I did know I watched a bunch of these preseason games, and there is something that makes me feel a little bit better about something that I don't feel good about that we'll get to next. And, of course, your phones. Hey, Nashville's best deal of the week is Old School Pizza in Brentwood. Old School Pizza was voted number 3 best new restaurant in Nashville and offers pizza and other Italian specialties. Head to theGameNashville.com/deals now to get a $30 gift card for only $15 to Old School Pizza while supplies last.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic every Saturday morning at 9.
I've got my extra large coffee.
As she talks about the big stories of the week.
Predators news, the Tennessee Titans.
And looks ahead to the weekend.
Oh, I'm so excited.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Zach Covey. Staying dry as we continue through our afternoon. Partly cloudy skies and warming a few more degrees into the mid to upper 80s for daytime highs. Sunset at 7:37 p.m. and staying dry through the overnight hours.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Tennessee has never been a stranger to progress, and with all the changes going on, people want an affordable way to protect their families, which is why so many Tennesseans trust us. At Farm Bureau Health Plans, helping people find peace of mind has never gone out of style. Just click fbhp.com, call us, or visit one of our many offices. Farm Bureau Health Plans, protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come, join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Old School Pizza in Brentwood. Right now, get half off a $30 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals. Old School Pizza features New York style thin crust made fresh to order from imported Italian flour that gives a unique flavor and crunch. Check out Happy Hour every weekday afternoon from 3 to 5 for half off selected appetizers and draft beer. Have pizza the old school way at Old School Pizza in Brentwood. OldSchoolPizzaBrentwood.com.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year,
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
You've gotten to work with a lot of quarterbacks. Now working with Ryan Tannehill, you see him out here being so demonstrative, how he wants the routes and everything. How has that experience been for you? Is that something that's kind of unique to what you've experienced before?
Yeah, it is. I would say very good quarterback, very good leader for our offense, very accurate. But one thing that's big is he's out here working with us, grinding with us, out here coaching us at practice, out here after every rep coming to talk to the players. Even today, hopped in our conditioning with me and Traylon just to get some running in. Just one of those quarterbacks who, you know, just want to compete, want to be there for his team. He shows that in every aspect of his work.
There you go, Robert Woods talking about Tannehill. And I'll say this, I mean, I don't know if that's sincere or not, if Robert Woods feels like he has to say that about every quarterback he ever plays with. Maybe because, you know, I'm not a Stafford guy. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't think Stafford's all that great. I do think Stafford's a little bit better than Tannehill.
Yeah.
But Robert Woods, Stafford, Tannehill, Goff, I kind of feel like the three of them are a lot closer than people think. So maybe he just thinks like, oh, yeah, this is just like what I'm used to with the Rams. But let me say this. As much as I have dogged Tannehill, and I have dogged him very hard since the Cincinnati game. And I still am not forgiving. No, it's forgive but not forget. I am not completely forgetting of the Cincinnati game. The Cincinnati game will forever linger with me as a scar, just like he said it does to him. Probably a little different.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. It's a little bit of a smaller scar.
So I bought, or whatever you want to call it, I subscribed to NFL Plus over the weekend. And part of it, I'm not going to lie, is because I felt like they have the condensed games where they take every play of a game and it's about 40 minutes instead of the 3 hours to watch a game.
Commercials and all the frou-frou.
It's literally just
timeouts.
play, which, again, doing the things that I do, I felt like I needed that, especially, you know, with the SiriusXM stuff. It's like, you know, people are going to call in and say, you know, what do you think about Carson Wentz in Washington? So I need to know that. So I watched so much preseason football over the weekend that in certain instances, I feel a lot better about Ryan Tannehill. For instance, I watched Seattle play the Steelers. Now, I'm not going to disrespect the Steelers. As much as I have been disrespecting the Steelers, I'm not going to disrespect them right now. But the Geno Smith, Drew Lock quarterback thing, that's a backup plus in Geno Smith and a backup in Drew Lock. Rather have Tannehill than that. Carolina, Mayfield is clearly better than Darnold, but I still don't think either of them are good. And I mean, Baker's healthy, but he doesn't look comfortable. So that team, a little skeptical on. Carson Wentz, watched him play for Washington in the Washington-Carolina game. Carson Wentz, everything he throws is a check down. The only throws he made were a couple of those 50-50 balls, those back shoulders that he used to throw a lot in Indianapolis. He would underthrow it. The DB would not be looking for the ball, would run into the receiver who was coming back to it, and they'd throw a flag.
PI.
And so he was doing a bunch of that at Washington, but everything was pretty much check down, short, check down, short, check down, short. I'm like, Carson, babe, push the ball. Like, do a little something. Now, Trubisky and Rudolph in Pittsburgh, they looked okay. I still rather have Tannehill than those guys. But I'd say that watching all the other teams over the weekend made me feel better about Tannehill at quarterback until I watched Trey Lance play San Francisco. Woo! Trey Lance.
But is any of that new? Didn't we already
Trey Lance
know?
is.
Well, Trey Lance, yes, that is new.
Trey Lance.
Didn't we already know that we would rather have Ryan Tannehill over Geno
than-
Smith and Drew Lock and Carson Wentz and
Joe Flacco.
and Baker Mayfield and Joe Flacco?
The new starting quarterback of the Jets.
Wow. That is just brutal.
They've been saying good things about him, but that doesn't mean that I believe those good things that they've been saying.
Yeah, there are a lot of good things said about a lot of people.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah. I mean, everyone is winning the Super Bowl
Frank
at this
Reich
point
said
in
the
year.
Colts played well on Saturday.
Well, Frank Reich also thought that the Colts played well against the Jags when they lost to them at the end of the season and missed the playoffs.
So
I don't really believe anything that Frank Reich has to say.
TD texted me in regards to the last segment when Indy Ben texted and said that the Colts weren't scheming, so we shouldn't laugh at how bad the Colts were. I mean, again, laugh might be a little too strong. I mean, it mattered to me how bad the Colts looked on offense. And TD texted me and said, regardless of whether or not they were scheming, the wide receivers have to win the one-on-one matchups, and the Colts wide receivers didn't, and that will continue to be a problem.
That's not a scheme problem.
And
that's a skill problem.
Right, that's my point. Like, that
doesn't
is
change.
what I saw Saturday that made me think, man, all this Indy hype, and I'm not, talking about Indy as a Super Bowl contender or anything crazy like that. I'm thinking, can Indy beat the Titans once? Because if Indianapolis beats the Titans once, given the Titans' schedule, the chances are pretty good that that would be enough for Indy to win the division. And so I'm not going to say Indy can't do it, but if those receivers can't get open and the Titans are going to turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry and the Titans and Indy plays that soft zone. Now, I probably should have looked closer to see what they were doing on defense with a new defensive coordinator, but for the most part, Indy plays a pretty soft zone. Well, Tannehill's going to just throw the ball to Robert Woods on every play if that's what they do. Robert Woods will get open. I'm not worried about that. Now, Pittman's okay, but
he struggled to get open.
He had that one catch. Other than that, it's a lot of Matt Ryan throwing to the running back, and they just can't do enough of that because they need Jonathan Taylor to be their running back and not Nyheim Hines. Let's go back to your phones. 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com.
Indy Ben is back again.
Normally, I don't let people text in twice, but because it's Indy Ben and we're bad-mouthing the Colts, I'll let them do it.
Says outside of an older Robert Woods, who really do the Titans have at wide receiver that'll scare defenses? Titans are nearly in the same boat at wide receiver.
Now, let me say this. I spent Thursday bitching about the Titans. So I have done that. Indy Ben, the whataboutism here about the Titans, that's a different discussion. But to sit there and try to marginalize how bad the Colts receivers looked, I mean, I'll say this. Robert Woods didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
Racey McMathis had a good camp, and he made a catch, a big catch against the Ravens. I was disappointed in Traylon Burks' performance.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Westbrook-Akina didn't play, and Austin Hooper, the tight end, didn't play. And the guy throwing the ball for the Titans has no clue what he's doing out there. So it's hard for me to look at the Titans preseason game, and if Indy had played Sam Ehlinger, and that had been all I had to go off of, honestly, I probably wouldn't have even watched the game.
Well, because why would you? Because it's more likely than not that the Colts won't play Sam Ehlinger this season. So it's not like you can compare, okay, let's look at Malik Willis versus Sam Ehlinger. I feel like that's a waste of time.
You know what was the impetus for me to get the NFL Plus account? Not the impetus. I mean, the impetus was to watch the condensed games. But what really pushed me over the edge?
Some sort of documentary?
No. So I was watching the Steelers and the Seahawks. And the way NFL Network layers games is that one game ends, but it's all fourth stringers. And then the next game begins, and there's usually some rookies or something.
Right. Interesting people to watch.
Well, the Steelers and the Seahawks played Geno Smith in the first half, Drew Lock in the second half. Well, I wanted to watch those two guys play. And the Steelers waited until halftime to play Kenny Pickett. And so Kenny Pickett went out there, and Kenny Pickett looked okay. And so I'm watching Kenny Pickett, and it's a close game, and Kenny Pickett's going to have a chance to win the game for the Steelers. And they cut away on NFL Network to take me to the start of the Broncos and the Cowboys, which would be a good Sunday night football game. Like Broncos, Cowboys in Denver, Dak versus Russ. Like I'd love to watch that as a Sunday night game. Monday night game. Like that'd be great. But nobody played. Josh Johnson for the Broncos and Cooper Rush for the Cowboys. Well, I don't want to watch Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
I want to watch Kenny Pickett. So they went away. They went away from that game, and I'm like, I want to watch Kenny Pickett. And so
that was the straw?
A little bit. But so if a team has an established quarterback or no like interesting young rookie, I don't care. So the games, again, like the games that I paid attention to, Carolina, quarterback battle, Seattle, Pittsburgh, both teams have quarterback battles. Chicago versus Kansas City, don't care.
I watched a little bit of that.
Don't care.
Saw a lot of George Karlaftis in that game. And it was interesting to see, but also it wasn't enough for me to sit down for the entirety of 4 quarters and watch that entire game.
No, and again, none of these games. The normal game, like NFL Network, I want to say, went away. What they do is it's almost like the NCAA tournament used to be before they had the different channels for all the games, is NFL Network would be like, okay, Steelers, Seahawks are starting, so we're going to go out there and take you away from Sam Ehlinger and whoever was playing quarterback for the Bills. We're going to take you away from there, and we're going to go to this game. But the problem was that if it came down to like a field goal at the end, they'd like double screen it, and we could see the two, and I'm cool with that. That I was fine with.
That's fine.
You know, especially if
Very
somebody
red zone-esque.
bets the game or, yeah, it was very red zone. And so that I was fine with. But to take away Kenny Pickett, to put on Cooper Rush versus Josh Johnson, that was crazy.
Snooze.
So my point is if Indy didn't play their starters, I would not have watched. But I absolutely positively had to watch because they were going to play their entire starting unit, and they did, and their starting unit was awful, according to everybody, except for their coach. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Dylan Radin's performance. Very few of us have the credentials to watch Dylan Radins on Thursday night and have a legitimate breakdown of how the guy played. Very few of us. Trevor Maddich played in the NFL for a decade. He does. What he said and how eye-opening it was to me, next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Heads up. 106.3 FM is a new way to hear 102.5 The Game from downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and on I-24 to Murfreesboro.
Make sure you have that preset on your radio dial.
We're making it even easier to listen to Nashville's best sports talk.
As we have a great show planned for you today.
Tune in to 106.3.
That's what makes this team better.
And hear the difference.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
An effective defense often hinges on sophisticated strategies relating to income tax projections, business valuations, spousal support claims. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 615-457-8700. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Offices in Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, and Gallatin. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Listen to Stillman and Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
Join 102.5 The Game, Brentwood Fire and Police, the Williamson County Sheriff's Office, and the Nolensville Fire and Rescue for the 9th Annual Williamson County Battle of the Badges Blood Drive this Wednesday, August 17th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Brentwood Library on Concord Road. Sponsored by B.L. Harbert International.
Arthritis and rheumatic conditions are leading causes of disabilities among adults. Joint replacement could be the solution. The team at Houston Clinic Orthopedics approaches each case with a complete evaluation to see if surgery is right for you. Houston Clinic Orthopedics specializes in arthritis, hip, knee, and shoulder replacements, hip fractures, osteoarthritis of the hip, and joint pain. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Dylan Radence on Thursday night. Now, I will say this. We all have opinions. We're all entitled to our own opinions. But offensive line is one of those things where deep down inside, if you're not somebody who has some sort of credentials to talk offensive line, chances are you probably don't know what you're talking about. Fair?
It's just pulled to Joe Rex Road. It's pretty easy to evaluate quarterback play.
Right.
Because
Wide
it's
receivers,
very
running
in your face.
Who
right.
got the most sacks.
But I can't look at somebody whose hands are in the dirt and say your hand placement is off.
Let me, I meant to look this up during the break. How many years precisely Trevor Maddich played in the NFL? And so
more than all of us combined.
So Trevor comes on the show on Friday, and I told Trevor, I was like, hey, watch Titans game. Kind of let's just get your breakdown of what you saw. And we know that right tackle's a battle between Dylan Radence and Nicholas Petit-Ferrer. Trevor played from 85 to 96. So he played 12 years in the NFL. So that's a long time. And Trevor played center, I believe, center, guard, tackle. So he played all three positions.
So
he was a first-round choice. He played for 12 years. He's played all three positions, 148 games. He called NFL games on CBS. He's been with ESPN for forever. Trevor counts. Trevor, and oh boy, Joe. We'll get to Joe in a second. Now, again, we all know Trevor. We know Trevor very well. Trevor does not like to criticize. It's like Chris Sanders. He doesn't like to criticize.
Trevor will criticize whenever criticism is elicited.
Right, they'll criticize, but he doesn't want to.
He'll look at things through a glass half full.
So he doesn't want to criticize. He'll do it because he knows that's his job, but he doesn't like it. So when he does it, just know that he doesn't like doing it. But this was his opinion of Dylan Radence on Thursday night.
Yeah, the bad North Dakota State, the Bison, they were well represented yesterday by Dylan Radence. He started the game at right tackle and basically got tossed around. I mean, on the opening series for the Titans on third down, they left Radence on an island on the right side. He had a pass rusher coming in from lined up very wide. There was no tight end out there. There was no help. And this happens often in preseason games where coaches will leave players on an island, whether it's a a pass blocker or a corner on a wide receiver or a linebacker having to cover a running back in coverage. They'll leave him on an island to see what they can do. So Rayden's first opportunity, he took his set on that guy all by himself on a big old island, and the pass rusher gave him a club with his inside arm and bent Rayden's over sideways away from the line of scrimmage. I mean, just about tossed him onto his ear. I'm surprised Rayden didn't go down. That's where Corey Levin, I think it was Levin, bailed him out, right? But that wasn't good. That's one play. But there were so many other plays where Rayden's actually got his man blocked from the standpoint of the guy didn't get to the quarterback, but it looked incredibly crazy. Rayden's arms and legs just spread every which way. He wasn't punching, he was catching. So he was the punching bag. He wasn't turning the defender into the punching bag. There was nothing to fear if you're a pass rusher when you rush Rayden's because he's not going to harm you.
I heard that and I thought, wow, that is not putting words in Trevor's mouth. I interpreted that as he's not very good.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, they played it this morning on the morning show when I was off to go get some cereal this morning because I'm having cereal at home.
Oh, no.
And I was off to go get some cereal and I was listening to Robbie and Joe. And Joe was like, Jared said that Trevor annihilated Dylan Radins. I'm like, for Trevor, that is, I mean, knowing that he's saying it in the market with which Dylan plays, that's probably as rough as it gets. Where, again, I'm not putting words in Trevor's mouth, but it sounds like he does not think Dylan's a very good player
I've heard Trevor say negative things about a player twice. One, when Traylon Burks didn't show up in shape for the first practice, he said he was disgusted.
By the way, he was disgusted that Burks didn't go harder after the football in the end zone on Thursday night either.
Okay, which is also important to note.
So he clearly has a bug up his rear end on Burks.
And then this about Dylan Radins, because I don't think that Trevor Maddich is going to pull anything negative out of a player if it's not elicited.
And that was how long, Ian? How long was that breakdown of Trevor Maddich when I asked what was the bad with the offensive line? And he was like, and first of all, it was almost like Trevor took his hat off and was like, oh, old North Dakota State, it wasn't great for old Dylan out there.
That clip was 1:36, which was cut down from like 2:24 or something like that.
But Trevor is long-winded, but I mean, I just...
But he had enough fuel in that fire.
I just think it's time to give up. Now, they're not going to. Mm-hmm. And I think they're not going to for a couple of reasons. One, I think if they feel like Petit Ferrer is going to win the job, they need to make him win the job. Like, they don't need to say, hey, Nick, you're in because the other guy stinks so bad. They can do that on September 10th. When they're getting ready to play the Giants on the 11th, they can go up to Petit Ferrer and say, hey, you're starting tomorrow. Now, I would prefer do that for the whole week so we can get the week of practice in there. But they have time before they just give him the tackle job. They really need him to win the tackle job if he's capable of winning it. The other thing is, I do wonder if the Titans are going to scour the league and wait to see all the tackles that are cut when the cut down date comes. And the last thing they want to do is signal to teams that have extra tackles like the Colts or the Bills, who they play in week 2. The last thing they want to do is signal to those teams that, hey, we got a real mess on our hands at right tackle. This guy we took in the second round, he stinks. They don't want teams to know that. Now, the teams also get the film. So it's not like what Trevor saw on Thursday.
It's not like a secret.
The other teams in the league aren't going to be able to see, and they'll probably be able to figure that out for themselves. But there's still no use in giving somebody that kind of information. So I would understand it. I think right now it is Petit Frer's job because I do not, or somebody else's, but it's not going to be Radins. After what Trevor said and the reality that they've given him every chance, and he still can't do anything against the second team of the Ravens. I mean, again, they gave Jamarco Jones every chance, or Aaron Brewer. They gave Aaron Brewer every chance to be the left guard. And Aaron Brewer supposedly has not disappointed them because, again, he keeps playing at left guard. They love him. They don't say anything bad about him. They don't ever have somebody else in his spot. Aaron Brewer is the left guard. right tackle, they wanted to give Radunz the job. They didn't keep David Quessenberry, who, by the way, is going to be starting for the Bills. They didn't keep David Quessenberry. They didn't go out and get some veteran insurance policy tackle. Mm-hmm. They didn't do any of that. The only thing they did was draft Petit Frere, who we all thought was a left tackle. And so at the end of the day, like, they love Dylan Radunz, the guy. Apparently his attitude is great. They say that his work ethic is off the charts.
Off-season Player of the Year award.
I think it's just like what Trevor said right there, which is, again, to sum it up, without trying to put words in his mouth, he's just not very good.
But I do wonder, because I know that the Titans want it to work out with him. He's your second-round pick. You're going to want that to work out. But at what point do the Titans cut their losses and say, we need to see what Nicholas Petit Frere can do at right tackle?
Well, they're doing that now. Like, Petit Frere's playing right tackle. I mean, I wasn't at practice today, but I was at practice. I've been at practice enough.
And I know that he played a half at right tackle.
Right.
But he also played a half at left tackle.
I think they need him to win the right tackle job. Like, they want him to play well enough.
Is that a position that he wins in
job.
joint practices? I feel like it's going to have to be.
I would assume that one day Dylan Radunz will play with the first team. Petit Frere will play the second day. And if Petit Frere plays well enough, he may just stay there.
Yeah.
But then the question is, again, is he good enough? You know, Trevor was a lot more complimentary on Petit Frere's performance, saying, I didn't really like him on the left side, but saw some positive things on the right side than he certainly was of Radunz. And I would just say, if you, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the audience, if you heard that cut from Trevor and you know Trevor like we know Trevor, that to me is a pretty obvious sign that he doesn't think Radunz is going to be a right tackle in the NFL. And then, to your point about the cutting losses, then do they look at Radunz and say, okay, he's just going to be a backup offensive lineman? That he's going to back up at guard, he's going to back up at tackle, he's just going to back up. And deep down inside, we hope he never has to play. Or do they look at it and say, hey, we've tried everything, Keith Carter's tried everything, move on. Because it wouldn't be completely out of the realm of possibility. John Robinson got here, and 6 years tomorrow, they traded Dorial Green-Beckham, who was a second-round pick the year before. Mm-hmm. They actually got Dennis Kelly in return. And if they could go find the next Dennis Kelly right now, that'd be great. But it just, when I heard Trevor say
that, a second-round pick in return for Dylan Radunz doesn't seem like it's really in the realm of possibility.
No. Any pick in return for Dylan Radunz doesn't feel like it's in the realm of possibility. But just the kind of player. Like, again, Dennis Kelly had lost a numbers battle. He was going to be cut by the Eagles. Mm-hmm. So what the Eagles did was they took Dorial Green-Beckham. I guess they needed a receiver. I don't know. I didn't cover the Eagles. I guess they needed a receiver. So they traded for a former second-round pick in Dorial Green-Beckham, and they traded Dennis Kelly. And then Dennis Kelly fit a need here as the swing tackle behind Lewan and Conklin, and it was great. And so if they can go out and, find somebody who's desperate for a swing tackle that wants to give Radunz a chance, then maybe they can do that and take some other positional guy that maybe they like that could be useful on the team. But I think that's the determination now of, is that more valuable to the Titans than the potential of Dylan Radunz being a backup guard or tackle? Because, again, all I needed to hear from Trevor was that. Trevor texted me during the game when Julius Chestnut fumbled the ball, and he was telling me about how the offensive line helped cause the fumble. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of thought, like, okay, but I didn't really think much of it. And then Vrabel in his press conference the next day talked about how, while it is Julius Chestnut's fault that he fumbled the ball, it is also the offensive line hurt the situation. I was like, Trevor knew what he was talking about. And Trevor right there again, Trevor, what was bad? Yeah, North Dakota State, Dylan Radunz, this one play was bad, but then all the other plays were bad too, even though he didn't give up sacks, so it's not very good. And the Titans can't have that. And they may be kicking themselves over Quessenberry right now, honestly. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. 615-737-1025. I did ask Trevor what they should do at right tackle. His answer We'll get to that next. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those are my guys. I absolutely love Hiller. It is back to school season, and Hiller is giving you free backyard upgrades all month long to tackle those necessary home system replacements in August so you can take advantage of these special deals. Like a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a new tankless water heater, a free Traeger wood pellet grill with the purchase of a new whole home generator, and also Hiller is keeping you cool for back to school with special limited time financing promotions on HVAC replacements. Get 0% interest financing for up to 12 months on select new HVAC systems. There's no better time to make your family comfortable for the last bit of warm weather before things get cold. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee. And I can back that up because I've been using Hiller at my home for years. Those are my guys. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller! Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Whether it's the news, the traffic, the weather, or your COVID-19 vaccinations, it's important to stay up to date. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Rounds, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
If John Robinson asked you, Trevor, you played in the league, you've played offensive line, you've got all that experience. Do I need to be looking for a veteran tackle that may be able to come in here and start in a pinch at right tackle? What would you say to him after what you saw last night?
My sense is that he is scouring rosters for potential cuts on the last day, and that he thinks that this is my sense that he thinks that their starting right tackle is not on the roster right now, and that's why it surprises me that they didn't address this in free agency before training camp started. For goodness' sake, now Petit Frere is the leader in the clubhouse in my position, and in my opinion, at that position. But if I'm John Robinson, I'm thinking I got to count on Petit Frere, or I got to bring in somebody that somebody else didn't want to keep as my best option at right tackle. Now, the good news is the right tackle doesn't have to be a superstar. He has to be serviceable. But serviceable first means he has to be a run blocker to the degree that he won't get tossed. that his man isn't standing at the point of attack unblocked, and Derrick Henry has to run through that guy every time. So it's better if you have a big old road grader over there. But if you got a guy that can just keep his feet, then at least Henry has a chance to run through arm tackles.
Trevor Maddich on the program on Friday, and you heard it right there. You know, when he says this is my sense of what they're doing, that is what I would do.
This is my opinion.
Yeah, what I would do, and Trevor's telling you, what I would do is I'd be looking at every team in the league, and I'd be looking at what tackles might get cut, what team might cut a tackle that is not a real starting right tackle, but can start for me like they've had the last 2 years with Dennis Kelly and David Quessenberry. Now, we have talked a lot about how I watched the Colts play the Bills over the weekend. The Bills did not play a single starter. So when I saw that David Quessenberry wasn't starting, because I assumed David Quessenberry was not brought in to be the Bills starter, when I saw that David Quessenberry wasn't starting, I got excited because I had this conspiracy theory that I was talking to people about at practice on Saturday, which was my conspiracy theory is the Titans are not going to do anything at the tackle position that makes it look like they're panicking. Because, again, the way Trevor said it right there was like, hey, man, like
maybe
I'd be
you
panicking
should
if
be
I
hovering
was
your hand over the panic button.
Right, but they don't want to do that. And
Right.
again, this is my conspiracy theory. The Titans don't want, because the two teams that have tackles that have played right tackle for the Titans over the last 2 years are Buffalo, AFC contender week 2. Buffalo's not going to cut somebody if they think the Titans are going to claim them. And Indianapolis, who has Dennis Kelly, and if the Colts think that they're going to hand the Titans a right tackle, they're not going to cut that guy either. So I watched that Colts-Bills game to see where those guys were playing. Specifically, I think the door may be closed with Kelly, but not Quessenberry. And so I saw Quessenberry wasn't starting. So I got really excited that, oh, maybe Buffalo views him as like the fifth tackle, and they'll release him at the end, and then he'll get in there, and the Titans can just bring him back, and it'll be like he never left. And then I saw him on the sidelines in his pads and everything, and they did something good, and he was standing, and he had a hat on, and he was cheering, and I was like, where is Quessenberry on their depth chart? Because he's not playing in this game right now, and they got the second team out there, so is he a third-team guy? So I pulled up their unofficial depth chart, the Bills' unofficial depth chart.
First team.
Starting at right tackle,
Yep.
David Quessenberry, and he's not playing in the preseason, which means David Quessenberry is the starting right tackle of the Buffalo Bills. So they're not going to cut that guy. So obviously, swing and a miss there. Now, Bobby Hart.
I know that name.
Bobby Hart was playing tackle, I believe right tackle, for the Bills. I believe Bobby Hart was playing right tackle for the Bills on Saturday. And I don't know how many tackles they're going to keep, but Bobby Hart was on the Bills practice squad, signed, or maybe he wasn't on the Bills practice squad. He ended up on the Titans practice squad last year. They had injuries on the offensive line. They called Bobby Hart up. Bobby Hart, I believe, started ahead of Radens for that Sunday night football game against the Rams, if I'm not mistaken. And then Bobby Hart was cut, and the Bills took Bobby Hart, and they had Bobby Hart. So maybe if Buffalo's not going to cut Quessenberry, maybe they cut Bobby Hart, and Bobby Hart could come in here and play right tackle for the Titans. That's my thought.
You know what the most frustrating thing about all of this is? And I know I'm crying over spilled milk here.
That they had no business drafting Radens in the second round, and they did.
That, and was this not a problem a couple months ago?
So remember when we
You're not going to address the right tackle position in the draft or in free agency or any other time before this, before you're in an absolute pickle. When you either have to throw someone out there who's not ready or someone that you picked up a month before the season.
Off-season plan, like right before free agency, and there was a tackle that last year had signed to be a backup for the Jets, and he ended up starting 16 of the 17 games because Mekhi Becton, their tackle, got hurt, and he ended up playing every game by the name of Morgan Moses. And I think I was willing to offer Morgan Moses something like 3 years and $20 million to come in here and just play right tackle. He's not going to be a good right tackle, but he's going to start at right tackle for the next 3 years. I think 7 years in the league, he's averaged 16 starts a year for Washington and the Jets. So I know basically I can sign Morgan Moses, stick him at right tackle, and not have to worry about it. I do believe that Morgan Moses sat out there in free agency for a couple of days. And again, I think I was willing to give him like $20 million or $25 million over 3 years. I want to say he got like $12 million over 3 years or $15 million over 3 years.
15 over 3 years with the Ravens.
I mean, seriously? They couldn't have just made all this
that
go
is
away?
a bargain pickup.
Just
there.
make this all go away for $15 million and just put him out there. They also had the opportunity to bring back Dennis Kelly. They could have brought back David Quessenberry on a $2.2 million tender as a restricted free agent. They chose not to do that.
And all of that is just such easy insurance. And what it told me was Dylan Radins is ready to be the starting right tackle. But that's not the case. So that's the frustrating thing about all of this is there are so many possible fixes or insurance policies that the Titans could have pulled out the right tackle position, and they didn't.
Then again,
here we are at August 15th.
Then again, the Titans have swung and missed at right tackle in each of the last 2 drafts prior to this one. We don't know if Petit Frere will make it or not. But they figured it out. Taylor Lewan tore his ACL, and they figured it out.
Well, I want to get to a point where the Titans no longer have to just figure it out.
I know, but I think the way they value the team is that they don't look at the right tackle as a position of premium need. Even though they have used high picks on tackles, I think they think that they can just figure it out.
Doesn't that sound kind of crazy?
I mean, it's tough because John Robinson's first draft pick as general manager was Jack Conklin. That's premium right tackle.
Right.
But then they didn't keep Jack Conklin, but that was a complicated situation. And I believe that they would have had interest in keeping Conklin 3 days before free agency when the NFL and the PA agreed that they could only use 1 tag instead of 2. And I think there was a chance that they would have franchise tagged Conklin and transitioned Henry. But we'll never know what their actual plan was going to be. Then they played Kelly there. And Kelly was fine, but they drafted Isaiah Wilson. So obviously, premium position of need, right tackle. Isaiah Wilson went off the reservation. Kelly was fine. Then they released Kelly because he's old. And so they go out and they draft Radins. He's no good. They signed Kendall Lamb. He sucks too. So then they play Quessenberry. Well, then they let him go, and they still don't have an answer at right tackle. It is pretty disappointing.
Just continue to make things more difficult for themselves at that position.
The thing I would say, though, is like right now, they can't worry about it like that. Like they can't get mad at themselves for what they didn't do.
I know they can't, but I can.
Man, I'll let it go into the season. They've fixed the right tackle and left tackle on the fly each of the last 2 years, and they haven't had horrendous problems with it. Then again, they went into the season with Jameel Douglas at right guard 3 years ago, and that was an abomination. So it's probably the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But I'm not panicking about right tackle, but I'm not happy about right tackle either. 615-737-1025 and your phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Again, Trevor says they'll scour the other rosters. We'll see. Adam in Portland's been waiting patiently. Adam, go ahead.
Hey, so they're treating it. Number one, I think right tackle this year is like tight end last year. Like they just don't care. That's why it's so ugly right now. We all saw it coming. Like that's going to be a problem. Why are you not doing anything? It's the same thing, man. But you give up Dennis Kelly and you bring in Kendall Lamb. You need to have a really good offensive line coach for that, don't you think? Like we would have all these 7th round draft picks, Jared, back on our Titans, right? We would have all these 7th round draft picks going to the Pro Bowl every year because we had Mike Munchak. Nobody talks about Keith Carter, dude. This guy sucks. Like, he's not progressing. I don't think he could have saved Isaiah Wilson, but, like, you're almost forced to stick with Dylan Radunz. And I was listening to your draft night when they drafted him, and it was like a run on tackles. And every pick come in, you'd go, who was that? Who was that? And it's just the same feeling for everybody, man. Like, he was supposed to be a safe pick because you messed up Isaiah Wilson, and now that whole position's just shot.
So I don't know where you came up with the safe pick thing from, and I appreciate your call, Adam. I don't know where you came up with the safe pick thing from.
I think Radins was the exact opposite of a safe pick.
When they drafted
He didn't
Radins.
even play football that year.
R.I.P. to Mark Howard.
For an FCS school.
Because I remember when they picked that, and I lost my freaking cannons over it. So, but that doesn't mean that I knew that Radins would be this bad. I had no idea. But I had just never heard of the guy. So I was like, why are they drafting some tackle I've never heard of in the second round? I do not think that right tackle this year is like tight end last year. Simply because right tackle, here's my theory, right tackle this year is like right tackle last year. They didn't have a right tackle last year. And then
But now you're Quessenberry list.
I know. We complained that they didn't have a right tackle last year, and they really didn't. And then they have less of a right tackle this year, unless Petit Frere is the guy. But again, Trevor said that he thinks that Petit Frere showed nice things, but that he thinks John Robinson, his sense is that John Robinson is currently scouring other rosters to find who may get cut to come in here and play right tackle, which to me, Bobby Hart. Get excited for Bobby Hart.
I'll take it.
I don't know. I was trying to keep track of Indy. I think Kelly's on the second team offensive line. They already have, the left tackle, they're playing a guy who was their swing tackle, I believe, at left tackle. Mm-hmm. They do have Braden Smith at right tackle. Indianapolis does. If they cut Kelly, could they bring Dennis Kelly back? I don't know. They've had no interest in bringing Dennis Kelly back in the past, but I'd keep my eyes on that.
But is this a different situation?
Well, they don't have anybody right now.
Right.
But then again, they didn't have anybody last year. They thought they had Kendall Lamb. He stinks. Well, they've got to figure out. Now, this is something
they have bodies. You just don't know if they're solid starting right tackles in the NFL.
This is the serious thing. And Adam brought up Keith Carter, Coach Turbo. And I have consistently harbored my opinions about Keith Carter. And then every time I do, Derrick Henry turns around and runs for 800 yards. And Keith Carter and I used to live in the same neighborhood. So make of that what you will. But I do want the offensive line coaching and evaluating to get better. I don't know how they do this with the scouts. Normally, the scouts are area scouts. So the scout is the one who has to determine if your area is, say, the Florida schools, then that scout has to determine who's better, the middle linebacker at UCF or the right tackle at USF. Mm-hmm. But whoever's evaluating offensive linemen for this team freaking stinks. I mean, the whole thing is freaking a gong show. Outside of Nate Davis and Conklin, they have not drafted a single offensive lineman worth a crap. Like, one crap. And it is getting disappointing to bust on Wilson and bust on Radens. And Joe's getting all mad because I think Radens is a bust. And he's like, it's too early for that, and he's getting opportunities, and you got to give it time. Did we not give him time last year? Like, this is the NFL. But he's halfway through his career with the Titans. You signed a 4-year deal.
He's not halfway through.
No.
He's going into year 2.
No. If he can't start year 2,
then yes, then
it's halfway done.
Through. And I would say if he cannot get on the field and if he cannot start, which seems like that is the likely thing, then yes.
If he can't start during the season, he's not going to start on October 8th. He's not going to start on December 12th. He's not going to just magically figure it out. If he can't get on the field after a whole year, had a training camp with the team last year, had a whole season of every day at practice getting reps, had a whole off season of getting reps in practice and working with the coaches in the classroom and working in the weight room with their strength coaches, basically is gifted the right tackle position. It's yours to lose, and he can't win it. That's like Sam Darnold. I mean, I feel bad for Sam Darnold because I think the Jets ruined him. But if you can't win in New York, you can't do anything in New York. They ship you out as soon as they can. Carolina trades real assets for you. They pick up Sam Darnold, and all of a sudden, after 1 year, half of 1 year, they're back to Cam Newton, and then they're spending the whole offseason looking for Baker Mayfield. Matt Rule can tell me all he wants that that's a quarterback competition. It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
You don't bring in Baker Mayfield if you intend for him to compete.
If Dylan Radens cannot start this year, then he's a bust. And that's just where I'm fine with it because I thought he was a bust last year, and everyone it's too early. Well, as Yogi
after
Berra,
year 1, I think it's too early.
As Yogi Berra used to say, it gets late early. And it is getting late for old Dylan. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this next. 615-737-1025. And I have a text from Trevor. So we have a little update thought from Trevor. So we'll, I guess, go through that as well. Stillman & Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Sliding across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best Award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Are you ready for this?
You've never seen the PBR like this. Buckle up for the ultimate weekend in Western sports as the PBR Team Series invades Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, August 19th through the 21st. 8 teams, 3 days, 1 champion. Don't miss your chance to watch history as it's made. Get your tickets now at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. PBR Team Series. Bull riding will never be the same.
Are you sick and tired of constant pain in your knees, hips, or back? Especially this time of the year. You need to be moving pain-free, right? Hey, Willie Donick here for the team at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, giving them lasting pain relief using the latest advances in regenerative medicine. The science is simple. They concentrate your own body's healing agents and apply them to your aching joints, restoring and repairing the damaged tissue. No drugs, no steroids, no surgery. The old remedies for pain are not the only remedies. You need to learn more about how regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can change your life. Make this the last summer you suffer from chronic pain. They've got clinics here and all over America. This is the exciting new, natural way to deal with joint pain. No side effects, no downtime. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Now's the time to make a message known. All working-class Tennesseans vote no on Amendment 1 this voting season. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Hardworking families deserve to have their needs addressed in today's economy. Visit TennesseeWorkerAlliance.org, paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
I'm Cindy Mae Johnson from Mountaintop Media in the beautiful Appalachian Mountains of eastern Kentucky, where flash floods have taken lives and destroyed homes. The news can never accurately convey how much help is needed. If you're willing or able to help, even a little, please donate to the East Kentucky Dream Center on Venmo or at ekdc.info. Thank you for your prayers and support.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From Dylan Radins, did he kind of show that growth that you guys have seen since the spring? Did it translate into the game?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan played hard. You know, he played physical and with good effort and finish, and we expect that of him, especially a guy in his second year. You know, he and Brew and Corey, those guys that were out there that, you know our style of football, we expect there to be a consistency there, and we expect them to be leaders when it comes to play demeanor. So Dylan did some good things, and look forward to him continuing to grow.
I feel like Todd Downing's kind of like Frank Reich. He never says anything bad about anybody. It's like I have to talk because the league makes me talk. So I have to talk because Vrabel doesn't want me to talk, and I don't want to talk. But I'll talk because the league makes me. So let me say positive things about everybody, because everybody else, in reference to Radins on Thursday night, did not say the things that Todd Downing said in that cut.
Well, what does it give? What good does it do for Todd Downing to come out and say, look, we were not pleased with Dylan Radins. He's not very good.
Nothing. Especially if my conspiracy theory is true, that the Titans are hopeful that either Dennis Kelly or Bobby Hart, originally it was Quessenberry, but if he's going to start for the Bills, then that's not going to matter. I'll say this. If David Quessenberry is starting for the Bills and the Titans didn't tender Quessenberry for $2.2 million and the Titans play the Bills in week 2, Harold Landry better smoke that rear end.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he better smoke that rear end. Like, that better be, he better crush him. Thought or phones?
Phones.
AG's up next here on Stillman and Company. Go ahead, AG.
Hey, Jared, I would love to see you as a head coach because I think you and your players get to fight like on TV though, for real. And man, you like one of the best reporters in Nashville, man. Up until this preseason game, I'm talking about I was just seeing Jerry Fields, and then you just get all pessimistic on me. And then
pessimistic about what?
Say, man, you got me all down on my boys, man. You got to rally the troops, man. We're going to go into week 1 in a couple more weeks.
Well,
but
I mean,
go ahead, AJ. What I caught about it, man, we got to be patient with the players, man. We can't, because I was just talking to my brother that answered the phone about the guard that you was all down on 2 years ago. I think his name was Carter. He would get pushed around and you was down.
AG, I love you. AG, I love you. I can't understand a single word that you're saying. I think it's your phone. But I do appreciate your call, and I do appreciate you. But I could not understand a single word that AG just said right there.
All I heard was you got me down on my boys.
Well, he said that he was talking to Ian
about the guard position.
What was your discussion with AG to relay that to us?
From what I could figure out is we had similar conversations. Radence a little bit longer. Well, Nate Davis, when he first came in, it took him a few weeks to kind of get going. A good 6 weeks. And for the first 6 weeks, he really wasn't doing much. And then he, 6 weeks in? And now he's been pretty good ever since.
Here's what I remember Nate Davis.
But Dylan Radens has already had 6 weeks.
Yeah, here's what I remember Nate Davis. Nate Davis was competing for the right guard spot with a guy by the name of Kevin Pamfield. And Pamfield, who had been hurt for pretty much the entire season the year before, got hurt right at the end of training camp. Davis got hurt like the first day of training camp and basically didn't practice all of camp. And so Nate Davis got hurt. Kevin Pamfield got hurt. The Titans had to run out there Jameel Douglas, and he was terrible. He was good in the first game, got a game ball in the first game. But then after that, Danico Autry abused him in the Colts game, and Calais Campbell just bent him over his knee in the Jags game. And then that Denver game, everybody played poorly, and it was really, really bad. The line as a whole for the first month of that season was really, really bad. Nate Davis got in there the third game of the year against the Falcons, which means that he played in that Denver game. Now, I don't remember it specifically, but once Ryan Tannehill came in at quarterback, everybody played better, including the line. Now, the first 4 games of that season, Taylor Lewan was out with a PED suspension, and I believe Jack Conklin was coming off of a torn ACL. So it was a whole mess. It was a whole mess on the line. And remember, I asked Vrabel about Keith Carter because the line was so terrible. I asked Vrabel about Keith Carter, and Vrabel said no. Basically asked me to go fire him. And Vrabel was like, no. Like, I think he's doing a good job. I see him every day. I see how he interacts with the players. I believe in him. Then Derrick Henry won the rushing title, and everyone's like, what do you think about Keith Carter now? Then COVID happened. I found out we live in the same neighborhood. And so, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm kind of indifferent on Keith Carter. Certainly don't think he's Mike Munchak. But my biggest problem is why every freaking year do we have to have the same discussions about the Titans on a right tackle? They have not had a starting right tackle for 3 years. The guy they get freaking sucks.
But why didn't they do anything this year is my question. I understand Nicholas Petit-Frere, but are you really going to look at a third-round left tackle and say that was the Titans really doing something about right tackle?
Nate Davis was a third-round guard when they didn't have a guard. I remember that draft like it was yesterday. We went in day 2. The Titans drafted Jeffrey Simmons.
Guard is not right tackle.
I know, but the Titans went into day 2. They drafted Jeffrey Simmons in the first round. They go into day 2. And Floyder the whole day kept talking about how they have to draft a guard. And I, to that point, was like, well, it's guard. I mean, who cares about guard? And it was not a discussion. It was they need a guard. And every time, Cody Ford, who I don't think has done a good job with the Bills, Cody Ford went off the board. McCoy to the Saints went off the board. And when those picks went off ahead of the Titans, every time he had his notebook and it was like, God. Every time one of those interior offensive linemen went off the board. They pick in the second round at 51. They draft A.J. Brown. The Titans did not need a wide receiver. Because as crazy as this sounds, at that time, we thought the wide receiver group was Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, and Taywan Taylor, which it's easy to laugh now about Taywan Taylor, but we did actually think that Taywan Taylor was a real football player at that point. So we didn't think they needed a wide receiver. Just like we didn't think they needed a corner when they drafted Roger McCreary in the second round this year. It's like, what? And obviously it was a good idea to draft AJ. Then they drafted the guard in the third round. Maybe that was their theory on the tackle position, but just their actions tell me that they truly believed that Dylan Radunz could be the right tackle of the Tennessee Titans. What do we have in the text line?
Jeff texts in and says, why are we always in this needy position in the O-line every year? Because everyone is always infatuated with getting another receiver, and here we are again.
Always. Every year with the Titans over the last 3 years. But you can't say that it's not like the Titans haven't tried. They drafted Isaiah Wilson in the first round.
Bust.
They signed Kendall Lamb last year.
Didn't work out.
And not only that, it was obvious to me the second day of practice with no pads, I turned to Joe, and I was watching Radunz and Lamb get smoked. And I turned to Joe, and I'm like, these guys suck. And Joe was like, oh, I mean, it's second day. They don't have any pads on. And then immediately Jim Wyatt asked Vrabel about the right tackle position, and Ty Sambrilo was on the PUP list. And Vrabel was like, well, when we get Ty off the PUP list, that'll be good, and he'll come in here and he'll compete. And so when we get Ty, that'll be good. And it was like pretty obvious for Vrabel, a guy who never talked about injured players, to be talking about, Lord, I can't wait till I get this injured player back. That was pretty telling that Vrabel thought those guys stunk. And then the fact that he never played them, I think also kind of led us to believe that that all those guys stunk. So make of that what you will.
It's so frustrating, though. It feels like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, well,
the right tackle talk.
Well,
and I've only been here for a year.
This is a
3-year
thing, and you've only been here for half of it.
And I'm already sick of it.
So they scrimmage with Tampa Bay this week. We'll see how that goes.
Tease and
615-737-1025. We'll get to more of your phones. And one NFL team that I was ruling out. I've ruled out all offseason. Got to put some respect on that name. We'll get to that coming up. Stillman and Company. Hey, join 1025 The Game at the 9th Annual Brentwood Battle of the Badges Blood Drive this Wednesday from noon to 2. The Red Cross is in emergent? Is that a word? I mean, like emergency?
No, emergent is a word. Or emergence.
Emergent.
Emergent's a word.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of urgent. But and I know what an emergency is.
Is it emergent?
Yeah.
Emergent, yeah.
I've never used that word before. And I feel like I have a pretty solid. I feel like I have a pretty solid. I did wordly wise.
You could say Nicholas
Petit
Frere has been emergent in the right tackle competition.
No, that's emerging.
No. Well, he is emerging.
Right.
Has been emergent.
No, this emergent.
Is that an adverb?
In the process of coming into being or becoming prominent.
Yeah.
Emergent.
He has been emergent.
So then I don't think this is the right case. This is the right use of emergent. That's why I was kind of like, again, they've had it. Yeah. Just read it for the people.
All right.
It feels like it's emergency.
Oh, in urgent need of
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. That's what I think that line's. Just read it for the people.
Join 1025 The Game at the 9th Annual Brentwood Battle of the Badges Blood Drive this Wednesday from noon to 2 p.m. The Red Cross is in urgent need of blood. Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Join us, Brentwood Fire and Police, the Williamson County Sheriff's Office, and the Fraternal Order of the Police for the 9th Annual Brentwood Battle of the Badges Blood Drive this Wednesday, going on until 6 p.m. at the Brentwood Concord Road Library.
Hey everybody, Willie Donick here to tell you about Trivia Night for Stars. Think you're pretty smart? Well, come on out Wednesday, August 24th to Boomba's East and test your trivia skills. I'll be your trivia master. We'll have sports questions, some non-sports questions, and some great prizes. It's brought to you by Nerdy Talk, and all proceeds support Stars and the hope, health, and connection of young people in our community. Register your team of no more than 4 and let the competition begin. Go to starsnashville.org to officially sign up. That's starsnashville.org. See you on August 24th at Boomba's East.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Zach Covey. Staying dry as we continue through our afternoon. Partly cloudy skies and warming a few more degrees into the mid to upper 80s for daytime highs. Sunset at 7:37 p.m. and staying dry through the overnight hours.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today. Whether it's the news, the traffic, the weather, or your COVID-19 vaccinations, it's important to stay up to date. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce in custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Rounds, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just three guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt, hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Pickens is awesome, and he glides.
Yeah.
He runs right by people. And when did they draft him?
Second round.
How did he fall to the second round? Because, 11 wide receivers or something like that won in the first round? How many wide receivers won in the first round? I think like 11. Remember the Cardinals,
Yes.
wherever they were sitting, they said they liked however 7, 8, I forget how many wide receivers it was. We like this many wide receivers, but we don't think any of them will be around by the time we get up the draft. So they actually send their pick to Baltimore to get Hollywood because they wanted Pickens was sitting right there.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
Could have got Pickens.
Could have gone.
What are Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury doing?
Good question. Steelers know how to draft wide receivers. We watched them make a hell of a diving catch in the national championship last year.
Of course we did. Because he played for
Georgia.
Yes, he did.
That's why he was born a dog. He was raised a dog. He's always going to be a dog.
Yeah, he's a guy.
That was the Pat McAfee show today. I would like to apologize to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have written off the Pittsburgh Steelers all offseason long. We have said AFC contender. Steelers, no. Ben's out. I sat down on Saturday night to watch the Seahawks and the Steelers, primarily for some reason because I wanted to see the Seahawks quarterback battle. I guess any team that has Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, I just don't take seriously. Pickens is
Pickett
a bad boy. No, Pickens.
Oh, George Pickens?
Bad boy.
I think we all knew that, no?
Bad boy. Well, I mean, the Green Bay Packers need to take their heads out of their rear ends after they drafted 2 defensive players in the first round with Pickens sitting there on the board. I mean, Mason Rudolph threw the most pinpoint ball into the corner of the end zone. So if you were to ask Mason Rudolph to throw the ball right to the back pylon where only the receiver can get it, he put it there. And George Pickens made the most beautiful catch in the end zone for a touchdown in that game. Trubisky, who started as soon as the game began, right to Pickens. Like, he is the Steelers' Kevin Colbert, the general manager there for forever, who retired at the end of the draft. Kevin Colbert is the guy who drafted Juju Smith-Schuster in the second round, Chase Claypool in the second round, Deontay Johnson in the third round, Antonio Brown in the sixth round, Mike Wallace in the 3rd round. Like the Steelers for years, how bad Floyd was at drafting wide receivers when he was here, Kevin Colbert has been the opposite of that during roughly the same time period with the Steelers. He just drafts amazing wide receivers. And it's like he left them with like the next great receiver for the Steelers, not in the 1st round, with George Pickens. Now, Trubisky, I thought he looked pretty good. Rudolph, I thought he looked pretty good. Pickett, who played in the second half, I thought he looked pretty good. And unlike Vrabel, who just said, all right, Malik, go get him, and maybe that put Malik in a tough spot, I thought Tomlin set Pickett up for success by waiting to play him until the second half, and he had easy, short throws to complete, and he scores a touchdown right away on the 3rd-team defense for the Seahawks, and that's why waiting till the second half was, I think, important for Tomlin to do that. And now Kenny Pickett's got all the confidence in the world. Trubisky's going to win that job. Rudolph is apparently having a great camp. And just watching the game, and I know it's a preseason game, and I know the Seahawks kind of stink, but watching that preseason game, they felt like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like just watching it, maybe it was because it was in Pittsburgh, maybe it was, and I've been talking about this all week and all weekend, which is maybe Ben at this point in his career was holding the team back.
I mean, I don't think that's the craziest take in the world.
And like Tomlin,
Ben was almost like a cement statue out there.
I think Tomlin is happy to see Ben gone. I think Tomlin is happy to see Le'Veon Bell gone. I think he's happy to see Antonio Brown gone. Juju Smith-Schuster and his TikToks, I think he's glad to see them gone. And Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. And every year, even when they don't make the playoffs, the Steelers are in the discussion for the playoffs. The Steelers last year had no business making the playoffs last season. And I just think it's something about Tomlin and that organization. And I had totally written it off and said, look, in a division with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and maybe Deshaun Watson, there's no way that the Steelers are going to be able, with Mitch Trubisky and kind of a rebuilding team, there's no way the Steelers, now they still got offensive line questions, but there is no way to say that the Steelers can compete this year, especially in an AFC where Russell Wilson is now in the conference and all these young quarterbacks are emerging and everything else. And now, I watched the Steelers on Saturday. I think it was disrespectful to Mike Tomlin for me to not at least discuss the possibility of the Steelers having a good team this year. I like the Steelers. I would say that there were kind of 3 teams that I maybe changed my opinion on a little bit after week 1 of the preseason. Number 1, Indy. San Francisco. Because Trey Lance is a freaking G. Like that guy, he is a baller. And I listened to an interview that John Lynch did on Friday, or maybe Thursday, and they played on Friday. And John Lynch was talking about how Trey's the guy, and now it's up to him to show the team why everybody believes in him, and he'll do that, and we believe in him, and everything else. Friday, I watched Trey Lance get out there. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. He operated the game very well. They ran the football effectively. He threw short well. He ran the ball and slid, good decision-making, and then he uncorked a rocket down the sidelines for a touchdown. And so it reminds me so much of what Kansas City did with Mahomes and how they brought him along slowly. You know, they drafted him. They used 2 first-round picks to get Mahomes. San Francisco used 3 to get Lance. They sat him on the bench for a year, just like Mahomes. They immediately, as soon as the season was over, they had a good team, just like Kansas City. As soon as the season was over, they moved right off that average starter, just like Kansas City did with Alex Smith, and said, it's your team. And right away, Mahomes was throwing the ball up and down the field. And Mahomes, to his credit and to Andy Reid's credit, had a bunch of good receivers that they were able to do this with. Well, Trey Lance is going to walk in and have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and a good run game, and I think Trey Lance is that dude. So San Francisco and Pittsburgh, I definitely feel better about. I think San Francisco, after watching Trey Lance this Friday night, I think San Francisco is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Pittsburgh, I'm not willing to go there yet. But at plus 7,000, I feel pretty good about, the Steelers and that they're going to be better than we all make them out to be, because now Tomlin kind of has his team back And he doesn't have to deal with all the drama, Ben and everybody else. And then the Colts are the team I feel bad about.
Do we feel any better? Because we've talked so much about the difference of schedule between the Titans and the Colts, and I do still think that that's very much so a legitimate conversation to have.
To your point, I feel worse about the Patriots. So even though I feel better about the Steelers, all the nonsense we hear about how bad this Patriots offensive thing's going, the Colts have to play the Patriots, and it sounds like the Patriots are not going to be very good this year.
But the Colts also have to play the Steelers.
I know.
And you still get Joe Burrow, and that's still a more difficult game.
I mean, I'm not saying that Pittsburgh's better than Cincinnati, but let's not count out Tomlin. Let's not, hey, my bad, Mike, showing disrespect to Mike Tomlin. Boy, I liked what I saw from the Steelers. 615-737-1025. An NFL general manager, a former general manager, breaks down Malik Willis, what he thought of Willis's performance Thursday night. And let me say this. I think Titan fans might like what they hear. We'll do that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Here are a few quick divorce tips that we provide our clients. Number 1, don't move out of your house just because your wife tells you to. Remember, that's your house too. And number 2, don't blow through the financial statements that you file with the court. These are key exhibits, and they often make or break your case. And number 3, watch the social networking. Expect your wife's lawyer to do a thorough online search. And incidentally, this is a two-way street. Now, a bonus tip. Partner with your attorney in assembling evidence. You're one of the 2 leading experts on your life and marriage. Your attorney needs your input to achieve your goals. And finally, talk to your attorney before taking action. Good luck.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you're buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
This September, the Chainsmokers hit Music City at the Blended Wine and Music Festival. 24 bands, 2 stages, 1 weekend, all under the Nashville skyline. Performances by the Chainsmokers, Loud Luxury, Sick Kick, Fetty Wap, Breland, and more. September 10th and 11th, the ultimate social experience drops in Music City. Enjoy a massive 100-foot wine tent, culinary village, and wellness lounge. Get tickets now at blendedfestival.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3. Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checker flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're 1 play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman & Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Company, is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. So Malik Willis played on Thursday, and I feel vindicated in my Malik Willis stinks right now take that I had
a couple
during
weeks
practice,
ago.
Before the games. And I mean, everybody freaking got mad about me saying Malik Willis stinks right now. And how many times, even when I said that my take was Malik Willis stinks right now, how many times did I say...
You did say right now.
The key here is right now. Like, if he has to go in a game and play for the Titans, he stinks...
Right now.
Right now. And I think anybody who watched Thursday night would probably feel confident that that's true. That if Malik Willis got in a game, he would stink right now. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. So,
and that was my biggest takeaway from Malik Willis was there was some good, but there was also some bad, and he is very clearly not ready.
So I have no idea how to evaluate these quarterbacks. Like, I have no idea how to say, hey, this is where a third-round pick rookie should be. This is the path that he's supposed to go on. These are signs that he'll get better. I don't know what the difference between stinks right now but will be better later or stinks right now but will always stink. I don't know what the difference is.
Well, I can't tell you that.
So that I don't know. But Mark Dominic, former NFL general manager, he might. And he joined me on Friday on Adam Shine's show on Mad Dog Radio. And I just happened to ask him some questions about Malik, thinking that maybe it could be something we talk about down the road. And so I asked Mark Dominic, former NFL general manager, what he thought of Malik Willis on Thursday night. Again, this is a former NFL general manager, so he would know better than we would as how to evaluate these guys. Here's what Mark Dominic said on Mad Dog Radio. What did you make of what we saw out of Malik Willis last night?
Yeah, I thought there was actually, to your point, I think there was some really good things to take a peek at, right? You saw different arm angles to get the ball out of his hand, I think was great. The deep ball, the athleticism, that was all there, and that was good. But at the same point, when you're told to do something by the coach and you don't do it, then there's repercussions. As a third-round draft choice, if I'm a Tennessee Titan fan, I feel good that I've got a guy that has some potential to really grow into something. It was a good start to that career, and I'd be very excited about that, even though I know it was just a small sample.
I think that's pretty positive.
It's pretty positive, but also I don't disagree.
Why?
Because I think that you did see enough from Malik Willis to be able to feel like...
No, you thought you saw enough from Malik Willis.
I saw enough from Malik Willis to say, hey, he did some good things. 48-yard bomb to Racey McMath. Obviously, we knew that he was good with his legs, and that's what he showed on Thursday night. But also, there's a whole heck of a lot of room to grow. And I think that I can agree being fairly positive because nobody needs Malik Willis to be outstanding right now. Nobody even really needs Malik Willis to be good right now because nobody's ever accused him of being good right now.
No, but they have gotten mad at me about saying that he stinks right now.
Well, I feel like people just tend to get mad at you, a lot of things that you say.
True.
Yeah. But, I mean, I have...
But he does stink right now.
And that's fine.
Sure.
That's fine. He doesn't need to be great right now. And I think that he did enough on Thursday night to say, hey, that wasn't bad. Okay, you're showing flashes. I understand that it's against a second or third team defense. I get that. But there was enough flashes that weren't so egregious on Thursday night for me to say, oh, he'll never be anything in the NFL. Maybe he won't be. I don't know. But I think that you can at least go into it knowing and understanding that he didn't have to be a starter right now.
You think you can go into it thinking that he doesn't have to be a starter
right now?
Do
you not think that?
I don't know. I mean, no. Like, the Titans aren't going to ask him to start.
No.
But I do wonder. And again, look, Mark Dominic said there's a lot to like. And in the conversation, Mark Dominic brought up the fact that during the draft, when they got to the third round, he said, and I guess he was doing a draft show too, which would make sense. Being a general manager, they'd probably stick those guys on there. He said that when they got to the third round, that he was saying these teams need to start taking these quarterbacks because even if they become backups, given the salary, a third-round pick of a backup is not a bad use of a pick.
Right.
And so that was kind of his logic behind it. And again, I think he's probably more measured one way or another than I am about everything, but especially this. And he doesn't have as much skin in the game as I do, covering it every day and also being a Titans fan. I mean, I I thought Malik's performance on Thursday night was okay. I thought there were a couple of things I liked, a lot of things I didn't like, and when I say that I don't know how to judge the things that I don't like, it's because I don't know how certain things are supposed to get better. I mean, Malik Willis almost threw a pick six to start the game.
Yes.
And so is that something
which was
that,
one of the bad things.
You know, when his timing gets better, then he'll be more in tune. Like maybe, I don't know, but I don't know how to evaluate that.
But he almost threw a pick six with a wide open Des Fitzpatrick right in front of him. Those are things that are bad.
He was
don't
not.
make you feel great about Malik Willis.
But again, for him to say like, hey, there were things that I saw that I liked about Malik Willis, that does give me some confidence. And then what's funny is Vrabel took him out of the game for not throwing the ball. But Mark Dominic said that he actually was somewhat impressed by some of the decisions. And again, when Vrabel says, I told him to throw the ball, he didn't throw the ball, so I took him out of the game, it's almost like everybody thinks that every time Malik ran was a bad idea, or every time that he threw the ball that he decided to throw it instead of run. And Mark Dominic actually thought that his first throw, that one to Carter, where he zipped it through his hands and Carter didn't catch it, which probably 70% on the quarterback, 30% on the back for not catching the ball.
Yeah.
Or maybe 70% on the back for not catching the ball because he did throw it to him, and 30% on the quarterback for zinging a fastball in there. I don't know. But Dominic actually thought that was a big deal to him. Here's what Dominic said again on Mad Dog Radio.
And the one thing I did like about what I saw out of Malik is there was a chance or two where he could have ran the ball, and he decided to try to dump. He tried to dump one off to the fullback in the flat, and the fullback dropped the ball. But it was one of those ones where, you know what, I like that he actually rather throw the ball and let somebody else take the hit, and he could have just tucked the ball and got 8 or 9 yards and didn't. And I think that's a good sign for Malik that gets you a little encouraged.
And so, again,
interesting perspective.
Mark Dominic saying good things about Malik Willis's first performance. I have to take that as a positive. And the problem is with Vrabel, we can't trust anything that he says.
No.
So if it's, what did you think about Malik in the first game? Whatever he says, it almost feels like it doesn't matter. And then when it comes to, everybody has their own opinion about everything they saw, I would trust Mark Dominic's opinion or Bill Polian's opinion. Obviously, we don't have a GM anymore that would sit here and tell us what was what, but that would be something that I would take pretty seriously is what his opinion would be of what we saw out of Malik Thursday. So I watched all the young quarterbacks this weekend. Kenny Pickett is by far the best. Kenny Pickett also went in the first round of the draft.
Right.
The other ones didn't. Desmond Ridder at times did not look very good, but he looked probably more ready than Malik did. Also, Ridder, fourth down. Did you see that throw he made on that fourth down to win the game?
No, I didn't.
Oh, my God. Ian, did you see it?
See what? No, I'm sorry.
The Ridder fourth down touchdown pass to win the game?
I did not.
Do you people like football? How did you miss the Desmond Ridder 4th and 9 with the game on the line?
How did I miss the Desmond Ridder Falcons pregame or preseason game?
Hey, Mariota played in that game.
Oh, okay.
The touchdown, Desmond Ridder, 4th and 9, sends up a prayer for the game-winning touchdown. And then Matt Corral, he sucks right now. I mean, he sucks right now. He's the last quarterback in Carolina. If there was
kind
any
of felt
question,
like we knew that was going to be the case.
If
If you're
there
going to call
was-
it a quarterback battle, I don't think Matt Corral is involved in that.
well, I think that's part of the point, too, is that they drafted him, saw him in minicamp, and then still turned around and went out and traded for Baker Mayfield. But they got the ball at the end of the game against Washington. And first of all, I wish I had cut some of those cuts of the Washington game. Kenny Albert is doing the play-by-play.
Yeah.
And there's some guy who clearly used to play for Washington who is doing the game with him and is a total
Sunshine.
homer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's the end of a game and Carolina's driving to kick a field goal to win the game, and they call a bunch of penalties on Washington because, of course. But Matt Corral completed one pass on that drive. It was for like 7 yards. It was nothing serious. He ran a couple of times. The reason that Carolina was able to move down the field and kick a game-winning field goal was they got 2 runs that they were running in a 2-minute drill, and the other was because they got like 3 Washington penalties that were like face masks and hands to the face and moved the ball up every time, like significant ball-moving penalties. And this homer that was doing the Washington game, this homer, I didn't say it, this homer was like, oh, they're just going to call everything on us. Like it was
on us.
It was no
us.
So Carolina,
I'm padded up. I'm wearing a jersey.
Carolina's running the ball to essentially run out the clock, make Washington use their timeouts, then bring out Zane Gonzalez to kick the game winner. And the guys they hand off, gain a 1, right? We've all seen this where it's let's run the ball a couple plays, use a timeout, set it up, get it to the middle of the field or wherever we want to kick it from, and let's do that. That's what Carolina's doing. And so they stop them in the backfield. It's like, yeah, not in our house. They're not bringing it in our house, running the ball. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Oh, my God, it was bad. And so, anywho, Matt Corral led the Panthers down the field for a game-winning field goal, and he was terrible. He is terrible right now. So,
but again, nobody needs
Well, how did they
Matt
go?
Corral
How
to
did
be
they
great
go?
right
No,
now.
they do because they don't have a quarterback. But how did they go in the draft? Pickett looked the best. He went first. Ritter went second. He looked the second best. Again, I mean, I thought Malik was better than Matt Corral, but that's my opinion. But it's good to hear that Mark Dominic, former NFL general manager, said that he was encouraged by Malik. So what do we make of that? 615-737-1025. Add that to the list. 615-737-1025. Everybody wants Malik to be the backup. It feels like. It's amazing how many people want that. I don't think the Titans want it. We'll discuss. 615-737-1025. Hey, 1025, 1063. The Game is bringing you Nashville's best coverage of training camp presented by Parman Energy, your one-stop petroleum solution. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. That's right. I've been using FanDuel. Love FanDuel. And the NFL Week 1 odds are out, and now is the time to try FanDuel Sportsbook if you haven't already. Get in on all the action early this season. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook and new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. So they have great futures out there like Derrick Henry winning the rushing title or Cincinnati plus 2,200 to win the Super Bowl. Looks pretty juicy to me. Just sign up using the promo code JGM and place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. There's no better place to get ready for the football season than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code JGM to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days and restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
They're still in good shape to make the playoffs.
and I-840,
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
there's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
And he has added players that do fit.
What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams.
This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Whether it's the news, the traffic, the weather, or your COVID-19 vaccinations, it's important to stay up to date. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
When you need electronics or appliances, find great deals in-store or online at Electronic Express. Save big on favorite brands like Samsung, GE, Nintendo, iRobot, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, and more. Save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey guys, Jeremy here, General Manager at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are the go-to spot in Nashville for the best old-fashioned, a nice relaxing cigar, and lots of high-end spirits and wine. Are cigars not your thing? No problem. We have the best ventilation system in the industry that provides a fresh, clean atmosphere for you and your friends. We are here to provide you a trendy, upscale experience in the heart of downtown. Check us out at 508 Church Street. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. Luxury redefined.
Why choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because our Sleep Number 360 smart bed is really smart. It senses your movement and automatically adjusts to help keep you both comfortable. Plus, it's temperature balancing so you stay cool. It's even smart enough to know exactly how long, how well, and when you slept. Our smart sleepers get 28 minutes more restful sleep per night. Sleep Number takes care of the science. All you have to do is sleep. Don't miss our weekend special. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Mike, you indicated yesterday that the QB2 spot is open. What will you need to see from either Logan or Malik these next few weeks to make your decision?
I think that, ball security is paramount. The ability to function and run our style, but, be able to create plays, be able to find the open guy, operate the line of scrimmage, get into our run game or whatever the operation is at the line of scrimmage. So, this week will be really cool to see against the new defense, to have to see it one day, make corrections, come back the next. Different coverages that they may see.
That was Vrabel on Saturday. So I showed up at practice on Saturday. I was working, I was on the air until 2 o'clock. And they practiced at like 1:30. So I got out there at like 2:30. And I went out there because I wanted to ask one question. Now, I am not knocking the Titans PR team when I say what I'm about to say. But it would be very nice if they could do like some of the other teams, where they pass around a handheld mic so that the people listening to the press conferences can hear all of the questions when they're asked.
It is very difficult to hear the questions asked.
Because sometimes I feel like, with the Titans, it's like we're trying to play a cut or something, and even I'm like, got my head on my ears, like with my headphones, like, can I hear what the question's being asked here? And I'm sure that listeners probably feel the same way, and people watch these press conferences. So I'm just throwing that out there. The Patriots, they had their press conferences with, raise your hand, they'll hand you a mic, whatever. Not telling people how to do their job, just saying it'd be nice. Anywho, I could barely hear the question that was asked. I went there because I was going to ask Vrabel if there was a legitimate battle for the backup quarterback spot. And I was going to ask it because I feel like that's something that everybody's talking about after the Friday night game or Thursday night game, even though it's so incredibly stupid, in my opinion, to imagine Malik Willis as the backup of this team. I know that that's what fans were talking about on Thursday. So I was going to ask Vrabel, is it a legitimate competition? And I told Gentry Estes when I got there, I said to Gentry, the only reason I'm here is because I need to ask Vrabel if they're going to, have a legitimate backup quarterback battle.
Yeah.
And Gentry was like, it got asked yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Gentry was like, yeah, he got asked it. And then Vrabel said, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had to
sure.
So I didn't hear, I was watching it and I had no idea what the question was. And I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea. So apparently it's a backup quarterback battle. And then John Burton asked the question about what does he need to see for the backup quarterback battle. And the first thing he started off with was ball security. Let me tell you what that is code for. Malik is not going to be the backup quarterback of the Titans. Now, if Logan keeps turning the football over, Logan might not be the backup quarterback of the Titans either.
And that's the thing there. But I think that Mike Vrabel trusts Logan Woodside enough to know that on Thursday was probably the exception and not the rule with Logan Woodside. But also,
Logan has been sucking it up in practice.
But also, don't test me now.
No, Logan,
don't try me now.
Logan has sucked in practice.
It has not been great. Thursday night was not great for Logan Woodside.
And I don't think, the interception that he threw, I thought Godwin made a horrible play on the ball. And maybe the ball was a little underthrown, but that ball needs to be broken up. That pass does not need to be intercepted.
But I think Mike Vrabel puts that one on Logan Woodside.
I don't know.
He said he ultimately made that decision himself. He said ultimately it's on the decision maker.
Oh, I thought that Vrabel was putting it on Godwin, the way he talked about it.
During the Friday press conference?
Yeah, so the Friday press conference was all about how Godwin could have come back to the ball and made a play on it.
But he said, but ultimately it's the quarterback that makes that decision.
I know, but I don't think he even brings it up I don't think Vrabel brings it up if it's 100% of the quarterback. I think Vrabel brought that up because I think he believes Godwin left Logan out to dry. And then just like with the Chestnut fumble, where Trevor got mad at the offensive line and Vrabel got mad at the offensive line, Vrabel says ultimately Julius Chestnut needs to not fumble the football. I think this is
true.
the same thing, which is ultimately the guy who turns over the football should not be taken off the hook for turning over the football. So I think Vrabel put that one more on Godwin. Kinsey gave, and I think it was Chris Sanders called me and told me this, Kinsey gave Woodside no chance on that second interception. That one really was not on Woodside. But I'm not here to make excuses for Logan, because Logan has not been good in training camp.
No.
The reality is, though, Malik Willis is not going to be the backup of the Titans. And I don't think Mike can say it, because I don't think that Malik Willis wants Malik Willis to think that he absolutely positively sees no point in Malik being the backup this year. He was asked an interesting question. I don't know if we have it Saturday, but he was asked about the difference between somebody starting and knowing going into the week that somebody's going to be your starter compared to having somebody as your backup, which I think was a well-worded roundabout way of asking, so if something were to happen to Tannehill in the middle of a game, would you feel more comfortable with Logan backing up Tannehill? Whereas if something were to happen to Tannehill and somebody were to start the next week, would you feel more comfortable with Malik going in there to start? And Vrabel kind of gave a non-committal answer about, but it wasn't like he was ignoring it, just more so that the game plan's the game plan, and if somebody gets hurt, somebody has to run the game plan. Whereas if they know who's going to be available for the game, they can game plan differently, which is true. But it also doesn't tell us anything about how he would feel about it. I'm just telling you what I feel like I know. Malik's not going to be the backup quarterback of this team. So I don't care. I don't care how Malik plays the rest of training camp. And I wasn't at practice today, but I heard it wasn't very good for him. I don't care how Malik plays the rest of training camp. I don't care how Malik plays the rest of the preseason. There is no chance, in my opinion, that he is the backup quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. Now, could they keep three quarterbacks active on game day? Maybe. I don't think they can, because I don't know how they would have enough numbers for special teams, especially given how little depth they have in the corner position. But maybe if they want to have some special gadget 2-point plays, whatever for Malik, I don't trust Malik to take the snap right now. I mean, he didn't fumble the ball on Thursday night, which was a good sign, but he has fumbled too many snaps for me to feel comfortable about putting Malik out there in that kind of situation. But I'm just telling you what my common sense is telling me, which is there's a 75% chance Logan keeps the job, and there's a 25% chance that Logan loses the job,
and they go out and
they go get somebody else to come in here and play instead of Malik. But that there's no chance Malik Willis is the backup. And you're going to ask, because you already have, is that a bad thing? I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I just think it's not things that fans wanted to hear after apparently everybody was all up in arms after Thursday night that Malik should be the backup of this team. And Vrabel pulled him from Vrabel did two things that I can't believe he did. One, he pulled Malik from the game, which is, I understand, for two reasons. One, the coach wants to send the message of, I told you what to do and you didn't do it, so if you don't do what I say, you come out. And more importantly, I think he felt like he needed to evaluate other players. And if Malik's not going to throw the ball, how can he evaluate the wide receivers or tight ends? And there's a lot of those guys and a lot of reps to be had. And if Malik's not getting first downs, then there's also this sense that 3 punt or whatever, and there's not enough snaps. So that's probably part of the reason why. But for Vrabel to tell everybody that he pulled him from the game, that was pretty revealing.
And then on Friday, turned around and said, well, that was the game plan all along. Yeah, right.
Did he actually say that?
Yes.
I mean,
he said it was the game plan all along, that Malik was going to start the first half and Logan was going to start the second. But nothing that he said on Thursday after the game about pulling Malik made me think that that was the game plan all along.
No, I actually remember what you're talking about. I think what Vrabel was referring to was his plan was that Malik was going to play the first half, Logan was going to play the second half.
Yeah, but to me,
but
what
he
said about pulling him at the half, that's not the game plan.
Well, no, but I think the plan was for Malik to have one drive in the second half. We have a halftime to tell him what we didn't like, so now we need him to go out there and do what we told him to do at halftime. It's different than, hey, we told him on the sidelines, hey, we want you to do this. Mm-hmm. It's easier of, hey, we want to see how he reacts starting the game. Then we want to see how he develops through the course of the half. Then we want to spend a 12-minute halftime correcting him, and then we want to send him back out there and see what he does. And then, I think after that first drive of the second half, Malik was coming out. And I think at halftime they told Malik, stop running with the football. Like, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And Malik turned around, ran the football. I want to say it was an effective run for a first down, and Logan went into the game. And I can see Vrabel's frustration of, we just told you to not do that, and you went out there and you did it. So I'm going to take you out of the game. But when he says that was the game plan, I think what he meant, maybe I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here, what I think he meant was Malik starting and playing the first half was our game plan. Then we wanted to correct him, see how he took to the corrections, and then we were going to put Logan in for the rest of the second half. So Logan played 3 more snaps than we thought he was going to play because we took Malik out early. I don't think that Vrabel was lying on Friday or Thursday. But maybe I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, maybe so. I don't know. Maybe so. But
you don't feel very good about that.
I mean, it just, to me, it sounded like on Thursday he was so frustrated and so pissed off at Malik Willis. And I pulled him from the game.
I think he was disappointed that Malik didn't do what he told him to do.
But I think the use of words that Mike Vrabel had was pulling him. That to me doesn't sound like, okay, we're going along with our game plan and I need you to continue to work on whatever I told you to work on.
Well, if the game plan is going into the game, and again, some of these things aren't communicated to the players. Regular season game plans usually are.
Yeah.
But these things about, hey, we want you to, we don't want you to, pack it in at halftime. That they're normally not going to tell the guy ahead of time. So we want to send Malik out for the start of the second half to see if he picks up on the adjustments. That doesn't seem like something that they would tell him, but that they would then want to see how he reacts.
Right.
But really the only difference is in the middle of the first drive, Malik got pulled, as opposed to after the first drive, Malik got pulled. And I'm not sure I see much of a tangible difference between that, other than I'm taking you out of the game because you didn't do what I told you to do. I just can't believe Vrabel told people that. That is good for Vrabel. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this, plus the Mark Dominant comments as well. 615-737-1025 here on the program. And I just see that we've got some Dirks Bentley tickets to give away. So we'll do that later here in the program. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi, and this is Nashville.
Going to the front of the net, he scores. What a gorgeous move. Roman Yossi.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Invite you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Genesis Diamonds' most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Rounds, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
It's a fact. Guys hate going to the doctor. But when it comes to erectile dysfunction and low testosterone issues, men from all over Middle Tennessee have been thrilled seeing Dr. Alderson and their providers at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Men all the way up to 95 years old have jump-started their sex drive and energy levels. Lots of men suffer with ED for years, but now they're able to enjoy sex again. Tom from Nashville said, "The Tennessee Men's Clinic has changed my life. I have been able to be intimate with my wife for the first time in 5 years. She thought this problem was because of her, but the pills never never worked for me. I had given up until I went to the clinic and realized there were more options for erectile dysfunction. Now I'm happy and my wife is happy. A visit for only $99, and that includes all testing, including a PSA and testosterone test. Give the guys at the clinic a call at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman and Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Coach said he wanted you to throw the ball more.
Yeah.
I mean, what did he say to you on the sideline?
He said, we look at the film and see.
Yeah. So what were the issues with just not wanting to turn it over, or just wanting to run with it, or what?
As far as what part?
Why you weren't throwing it when he wanted you to throw it?
I mean, all you do is go out there and play the game. You don't have a play like, I have to pass the ball this play, I have to run the ball this play. I mean, just play the game, bro. I mean, I probably ran it a little bit more than I threw it tonight. That's why we got to look at film, but I don't know. Let's see on film.
So why did you not throw the ball when the coach told you to throw it? You got to play the game, bro. Was I supposed to say that to Corey on Friday and then I didn't say it?
Not necessarily.
I think I forgot to say it.
Gotta play the game, bro.
I think I was going to say that to Corey at some point on Friday. Malik not throwing the football. Phones, 615-737-1025. What do we have?
JD texts in and says, do you think that Vrabel is pissed that they drafted Malik? Seems like he may be low on the young quarterback.
So I love doing this in the season, trying to figure out like what Vrabel's mad about, or in OTAs, trying to figure out, like what is Mike Vrabel's ulterior motive. I enjoy going like full on CSI because Vrabel has a very odd personality when it comes to not wanting to tell us anything that may be true, but then at the same time throwing out little hints. Like that clip at halftime. Ian, if we could get that clip from halftime with Corey where Vrabel, and sometimes Vrabel's ulterior motives are pretty obvious. Like Corey, again, team broadcast. Corey, the one positive thing the Titans did pretty much the whole game, but especially in the first half, was the catch by McMath. And Vrabel, when Corey asks him about McMath, a good thing, I feel like Vrabel chucks Traylon Burks under the bus without actually chucking Traylon Burks under the bus.
Racy McMath had a really strong week of practice. He's able to bring it out here on the game field to make a big play for him.
Yep, that's what we're looking for, and we're still looking for some of these other guys that we hope that can do some things, but that was one of the boxes that we certainly wanted to check off, was to see Racy, continue to do what he's done in practice.
So it kind of felt
Still
like
looking for other guys.
That was pretty obvious that it was definitely Burks, maybe Phillips, maybe Okonkwo, but definitely Burks that he was throwing in there. He talked about how Burks had great effort on the kickoff coverage, and I took that to mean that we made him go out there and cover kickoffs because we needed him to run up and down the field. So sometimes I feel like I get Vrabel's ulterior motives. I don't think Vrabel doesn't like Malik Willis. Now, I don't know if Vrabel has any faith in Malik Willis. I don't know. And, I mean, Pat O'Hara, the quarterback coach, I'm not sold on. And I'm not sure they are either, because if they were sold on the quarterback coach, they've changed offensive coordinators 3 times since Vrabel's been the coach, and they have never once considered elevating the quarterback coach, which is usually the natural progression. Like Mike Kafka was the quarterback coach in Kansas City, and he's now the offensive coordinator in New York.
That would seem like a pretty natural progression.
Right. Like Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator at Buffalo. He's the head coach. Ken Dorsey, who was the quarterback coach, who played quarterback in the league and played it at Miami, Ken Dorsey is now the offensive coordinator. That is generally how it goes. Instead, here, they elevated the tight end coach, then they elevated the tight end coach again, then they went and added somebody who spends a lot of time working with the tight ends. So I'm not here to dog on Pat O'Hara because I have no idea. But I don't know how much Vrabel trusts the offensive people in terms of quarterback evaluation. I also don't know how much Vrabel knows about quarterback evaluation because he didn't play quarterback and he didn't play offense in the NFL. And so, obviously, it's his call. He's coach. But I do wonder if the personnel people are telling Mike, hey, this is what we're expecting. This is the reppage that we need Malik to get. This is because ultimately general manager does outrank head coach. But just my vibe of it, I don't feel like Vrabel has any problems with Malik.
Yeah, I don't think that he's mad that the Titans drafted him.
No.
I mean, we're a few months removed. Like, give it some time.
Trying to think of I know when Vrabel's mad at a player. I don't know if I ever have felt like Vrabel was mad at the front office for an individual decision. Now,
Julio?
I don't know.
I think that would, at least from my, experience, that would be the closest thing to it.
I feel like he didn't like Julio very quickly into the process.
What about the AJ trade?
See, everybody acts. Now, I saw what everybody else saw on TV, and I didn't feel like that was Vrabel throwing a tantrum. But that was what the was. He knew it was coming. They had negotiated the trade during the day. AJ had already negotiated the contract. He knew it was coming. So how could he all of a sudden react like that and get mad if he knew it was going to happen? I would assume that they would have told him that it was going to happen.
And Vrabel
unless they
understands
totally
that this is a business.
What if they keep him totally in the dark on those things?
There's no way.
I would assume
you can't keep the head coach in the dark about trading arguably one of your most valuable players.
A lot of teams keep the head coach in the dark.
Is that a good way to do football?
If you don't trust the head coach.
I don't think that they don't trust the head coach.
So John Dorsey, when he was general manager of the Browns, he had made up his mind for about 2 months he was going to take Baker Mayfield, and he didn't tell Hugh Jackson. And then it had not gotten out that they were going to take Baker Mayfield. And then finally, like a day before the draft or 2 days before the draft, he told Hugh Jackson, hey, we're going to take Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And within like 25 minutes, Josina Anderson had reported that the Browns were going to take Baker Mayfield.
Well, maybe that's why you keep head coaches in the dark.
So I was told
But I don't think Vrabel is the kind of loose lips kind of coach that would let things leak.
I know, but again, we don't really know that dynamic.
We don't. No, that's true.
And so maybe
I know what I know.
But I feel like he knew. But I've been told that the kind of key with secretive information is tell as few people as possible, even if that includes the head coach. And I was also told that if there's something secretive that a general manager really, really, really wants to keep under wraps, that the general manager then will try to go out of their way to avoid the owner because the owner wants to be apprised of those things.
Right.
And I don't think a general manager is in position to not tell the owner the truth. And so by avoiding the owner, the general manager can then just not talk to the owner about it. Mm-hmm. Whereas if the owner wants to be apprised of a situation, or if the owner's like, hey, I was wondering, what do we think about Malik? Or, hey, what do we think about draft? Who do we think we're going to draft? Or, hey, what do we think about this? Then the general manager has to tell the owner, and the general manager can't lie to the owner. Like, I could lie to whomever and then say after the fact, hey, I lied about this because, but a general manager can't lie to the owner.
No.
So that's just one thing that I know, that sometimes general managers try to keep things so close that I don't know how much they let Vrabel know. I feel like they treat him as an equal partner, but I'm also not completely convinced of that either. What else we got?
Another texter texts into the text line and says, do you would the Titans be able to sign a veteran backup at quarterback?
Yes. So a lot of these teams, like Matt Barkley, for instance, who was in here battling with Logan Woodside last year, he's the third quarterback behind Case Keenum and Josh Allen in Buffalo. Buffalo's not carrying 3 quarterbacks.
No.
So a lot of these teams that have a third quarterback will release that third quarterback, and then the Titans will be able to pick that guy up. One thing that may happen when I tell people that there's absolutely, in my opinion, there is absolutely no chance, zero chance that Malik Willis is the backup this year. What could theoretically happen on roster cutdown day is that the Titans release Logan Woodside, and then they announce that they have 2 quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis, and then on Tuesday
they bring someone in.
They bring somebody in. I don't think they would risk this, though it would be kind of juicy if they did. They could go into the Giants game with Malik Willis as the backup, because if a veteran player, I think that the term is officially a vested veteran, if a veteran player is on the roster week 1, their salary becomes guaranteed for the full season. So right now, Jimmy Garoppolo does not have a guaranteed salary in San Francisco. If he's on the team week 1, that $24 million is completely guaranteed. So, in theory, the Titans could release Woodside, go into the Giants game with Willis as the backup, expect nothing will happen to Tannehill, and then the next week sign somebody and not have that contract guaranteed. That's a risk that is too rich for my blood, but I could see it. So.
Well, and at what point is it too late to bring in a veteran quarterback? To
never
get him acclimated to the system?
Never.
Really? I mean, you could bring someone in, let's say, hypothetically, knock on all the wood, they do what you just said. That they release Logan Woodside, Malik Willis is the backup, knock on wood, Ryan Tannehill breaks his collarbone in the third quarter against the Giants.
And now Malik has to go in?
Malik goes in and they bring someone in on Monday.
Yeah, then that guy would start on Sunday against
that
the
guy
Bills.
would start on Sunday. But
the following Monday against the Bills, that guy would start.
But is that not too late? Can you get up to speed with a system? Or would you just go after somebody that knows your system if you can just hope and pray that that guy's out there?
That's probably what the Titans would do.
Yeah.
Is they would go after somebody like Matt Barkley who already knows the plays or knows the system. Then they would implement a game plan like they would any week. Barkley's been around the league long enough, played enough games that he knows how to assimilate a game plan. They would probably keep things kind of limited, and then they would run the football. But that is what would happen. I believe that right now, these Tampa Bay practices, this is Logan versus Logan. Like, Logan is competing for the job versus anybody else who might get cut. He's competing for the job there as opposed to I don't think he's competing with Malik. 615-737-1025. Speaking of Logan, Titans fans are not going to want to hear. I asked Mike Vrabel about Logan's training camp so far. I can just tell you the Titan fans who watched the game Thursday and got mad, they're not going to want to hear what he had to say. And that's a pretty strong tell. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Looking quiet as we head through the remainder of the evening hours. Temperatures drop back to around 70 through the overnight. Looking at highs in the mid-80s for Tuesday. Can't rule out a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Make your next hire fast with Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
I had low back pain that was due to herniated discs.
Meet Dr. Justin Garzone, another satisfied patient who found regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics.
Over a very short period of time, the pain went away completely, and I have had absolutely no symptoms or pain since my treatment.
Before Dr. Garzone found QC Kinetics, he was looking at all the old school pain treatments.
It was recommended that I have steroid injections done, but then unfortunately my insurance company said that I would have to do 3 months of physical therapy first, and I needed to get better quickly.
With QC Kinetics, the doctor got lasting relief with no downtime.
I didn't have to take any medications during my treatment. I avoided surgery, and I am now pain-free.
Don't live with chronic pain, and don't go under the knife. Call QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
We're Saia LTL Freight. For nearly a century, our team has been committed to driving business forward. From Lady Liberty to the Golden Gate, Superstore to Corner Store. We go that extra mile, expanding our team to better serve you. So trust that when you partner with Saia, we take every delivery personally. Visit Saia.com for all your shipping needs. That's SAIA.com.
Chase McCabe.
My play didn't work for him, and the way he coached didn't work for me.
Willie Donick.
It's survival of the fittest.
And Derek Mason.
A win-win-win across the board.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
How do you feel about Logan's camp so far, overall?
Well, I mean, I think overall, good. I feel good about, where he's at. I just think that, he has to, and they all do, continue to take care of the football. Make the plays that you're supposed to make. We talk about that throughout every position, as opposed to trying to make something that's not there. Whether that's a defensive player coming under a block, or trying to go make a play, just try to make good plays.
Titans fans aren't going to want to hear that. They're not going to want to hear that. Not after what I saw in the text line when I was doing the show on Friday.
Ooh,
they're not going to want to hear
pleased.
the Logan. Mike Vrabel says Logan Woodside is having a good training camp.
No, he's
then
not.
follows it up by saying that he just has to take care of the ball and saying that all of the quarterbacks have to take care of the ball. So let me translate this for everybody out there. For everybody who watched the game the other day, last week, and says that Logan stinks, and everybody that thinks that the Titans need a backup quarterback, for all that stuff, let me tell you, in all seriousness, it's Logan's job to lose. And the one thing Logan can't do is he can't go out there against the Buccaneers and throw a bunch of interceptions. If he doesn't do that, and the Cardinals, but if he doesn't do that, Vrabel is not looking for him to complete passes. Vrabel is not worried about the backup quarterback going into the game. As long as he can throw it short and complete it short, that's all he cares about. As long as they can get everybody lined up, get the ball to the running back, that's all they care about. At that point, the Titans will essentially go into the four corners offensive basketball. That's all Vrabel wants. Now, if Logan becomes so obvious that he can't take care of the football at all, then they're going to have to get rid of him and get somebody else in here who's not going to be a turnover waiting to happen. But Titans fans aren't going to hear that because they have all made up their mind that Logan is no good and they're not changing it. But that's where they are.
I mean, we had somebody text in the midday show on Friday say that Logan Woodside was a disgrace to the Titans franchise.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
not
hot take.
going to go that far. And I understand that it's really easy to only look at the small sample size that we saw on Thursday. And if you're just going to compare the two side by side, I mean, Malik Willis was the better quarterback.
Was he?
He didn't throw 2 interceptions.
Yeah, but see, that's where...
And if you're going to talk about taking care of the football, if you're going to talk about limiting turnovers...
What happened on the second play of the game?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a pick six.
Malik threw the
Very
ball right into
easily
the hands of a Baltimore Ravens defender that could have been an interception. And that's where it's like, it's easy to say. It's easy to look at the stat sheet. And that's why, like with all these other games that I was talking about over the weekend, I watched them all because it's very easy to sit there and look at a stat sheet. The stat sheet says that Sam Darnold played better than Baker Mayfield, but he didn't. And it's easy to say, like, oh, Logan turned the ball over twice. Malik didn't turn the ball over. So by that, to your point, you think Malik played better than Logan. I don't think so. I mean, where I was sitting, if I had to put one of those guys in an NFL game, it wouldn't be Malik. And I'm saying that because Logan Woodside came in and immediately completed passes. They were simple throws over the middle.
I'm not saying that Malik Willis should be a backup over Logan Woodside, or that I would put Malik in over Logan Woodside.
But your point is one I'm arguing, which is I think Malik had a horrible game on Thursday. I thought Malik made one really good throw during the 2-minute drill where he hit Mason Kinsey outside the numbers and then took a sack on the next play. That's horrible. I mean, the one to Kinsey.
The throw was good.
That's a good throw. And Logan Woodside cannot make that throw. And that's the difference in talent between the two. But as far as just, my opinion, objectively saying who had a better game, I don't think it's close. I think Malik Willis had a much worse game than Logan Woodside. I mean, he missed guys wide open down the field. He completed one deep pass, but on the pass that he completed that was a deep pass, the Ravens defender, and I still can't get over this, there were two guys that were in the vicinity of McMath. The guy underneath McMath ran to the guy who was short. Like there was a receiver short of McMath, and then there was McMath, and the Ravens defender ran to the other guy. I couldn't believe it. That's just a pitch and catch, and I know Malik's got an arm. But as far as like decision-making, and I thought Logan was better. And I know he threw the 2 interceptions, but on one, Kinsey, horrible play by Kinsey to not at least, go to the ball. Yeah. But even break up the pass, that was terrible. And then the one where he underthrew Godwin, I thought that was like 60% on the quarterback, 40% on the receiver. Trevor was mad at Godwin for that one. I believe it was Logan that threw the ball in the end zone for Burks, where Burks did not give a great effort to go up and get it. But I don't even think it's close. I thought Logan played better. And that's the thing about the Titans in the quarterback position is I think the fans want Malik to win this job. They want the idea that Malik Willis might be the backup quarterback.
Do they want him to win this job?
I think they do.
I mean,
and I think
they've
made up their mind. I think they've made up their mind. No, I'm talking about the fans.
Oh, the fans.
Malik has made,
the fans do want him to earn this job.
There's no chance that happens. Now, I will say this, like Chad Withrow on Friday was just, I think, how many quarterbacks he said that he could name that were better backups than Logan?
It felt like he was saying half the league.
I think
he
said 75, that he could name 75 quarterbacks who could be better than Logan Woodside to back up the Titans, which is kind of a hot take. But
75 is a lot, but also to that point. I don't think I realized
he said 75, but
Logan Woodside, I would not feel good about Logan Woodside going into a game. I don't think anyone would feel good about Logan Woodside going into a game.
How many backup quarterbacks in the NFL with those teams would you feel better about that team's backup? Not better.
I don't know.
How many would you feel? Okay, yeah, let's just say better. How many would you feel better about that team? I'm trying to think if we should say, how many would you say you feel better about their quarterback situation, or how many would you feel better? Let's just say, how many backups around the league would you feel better than Logan Woodside? And I would say probably there's 16 teams, probably 20.
16 teams?
I mean, 16's half the league. If 32 teams, probably 20.
I think that's probably fair. 75 is a little bit much.
Like Josh Johnson.
Like, I don't know all the backup quarterbacks and how well they play. I don't follow any of them as closely as I follow Logan Woodside.
So, for instance, like Washington has Taylor Heineke as their backup.
He's been a starter in the NFL.
Loosely. He's never, started a season. No team has ever said.
But he has started games in the NFL.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he's better than him.
It means that he has experience.
Yeah, but having experience doesn't make somebody better.
But it would make you feel better, probably. Would you take a backup quarterback with experience or a backup quarterback with less experience?
Well, I mean, again, for instance, like the Steelers are going to have Kenny Pickett as their backup quarterback this year. And I'd rather
probably feel pretty good
Kenny
about
Pickett.
it, even though, yeah.
So here's my thing. If Taylor Heineke is the quarterback of the Titans, do I feel like the Titans can win a game with Taylor Heineke as quarterback? No. Do I think the Bengals can win a game with Brandon Allen as their quarterback?
No.
No. Do I think the Cowboys can win consistently with Cooper Rush as their quarterback? No.
We talking consistently or a game?
I mean, I think Logan can win a game.
He could
I think any backup
in
the league can win a game.
I don't know if Malik can win a game right now.
Well, he's not the backup quarterback.
I know, but I'm talking about anybody who's not the starter is technically a backup. I don't think that Malik can win a game.
I think I'd have Woodside over a couple of these backups. I think I'd rather have Woodside.
Woodside or Mason Rudolph. Though apparently Mason Rudolph is looking pretty good.
Probably
Rudolph.
You know who, and this goes back to the experience thing. You know what backup quarterback absolutely freaking sucked this week?
Who?
The only backup quarterback that has a Super Bowl MVP.
Foles.
Sucked. Yeah. I mean, Ryan was bad, but Foles was horrible. So I guess it's a long-winded way of saying that most of the guys who are backup quarterbacks in the NFL, unless it's a team that doesn't feel good about their quarterback situation, and so they've gone out and gotten a second guy that they like, most of them are all the same, which is the Broncos aren't winning with Josh Johnson if something happens to Russell Wilson. The Chargers, who's the Chargers backup? I don't even know.
Chase Daniel.
Oh.
Chase Daniel's
career backup.
Chase Daniel makes a lot of money.
Yeah,
for somebody who literally never plays.
Like Chicago, they have Trevor Siemian as their backup. Pretty not great, but good as a backup for Chicago when they need for Fields.
Okay. So who would you feel more comfortable with, Trevor Siemian or Logan Woodside?
Probably Trevor Siemian.
Okay, well, the Titans had that choice 2 years ago, and they made Logan Woodside the choice.
I know that.
So that's the thing that, we can sit here and say, oh, well, obviously that guy's better.
But is that because
they competed and he lost?
Is that because Logan is a better quarterback, or the Titans just trust Logan? He's
Titans,
been here long enough.
The Titans signed Trevor Siemian, and he was here in training camp, and then they released Trevor Siemian, and they kept Logan Woodside. So whatever their reasoning was being for doing that, and Logan had not even been the backup for that team at all. He had not been the backup. He had been the third-string quarterback in 18 on the practice squad, 19 on the practice squad. And so this was their first year with Tannehill entrenched as the starter. And Logan, they brought in competition, and it was Siemian, and they lost. And Siemian lost, and then he went – did he go to the Jets after that? Or was that after he was with the Jets? I think he went to the Saints. I think the
Saints.
I think he went from here to the Saints, then was
Yep.
with the Saints last year, and then now is with apparently the Bears. But all these guys are all the same. They're all the same. And so, who was the backup yesterday for Minnesota? Sean Mannion?
Correct.
Career backup. John Wolford in L.A., backup.
Career backup.
They're all backups. That's all they are, backups. And then every now and then a team like Miami has Teddy Bridgewater, who's like a backup plus. But everybody else, backup. And I'm not sure it makes much of a difference if the team has Jacoby Brissett as the backup quarterback, who I want to say is something like 11-19 as a starter, or Logan Woodside. Last year Brissett started 5 games, 2-3. If the Titans had to go to Woodside, they probably would go somewhere around 2-3. So, I don't know. And I think maybe Vrabel doesn't worry about that as much because he knows that what he would ask a backup quarterback to do and what he would ask Tannehill to do are two totally
very
different
things.
615-737-1025. Now, I wouldn't take a football breather during training camp of the preseason unless I thought that something was about to go down. There is a line being drawn in the sand in Kentucky basketball, and it went from funny to serious real quickly. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Down, Middle Tennessee. 3-ball, yes, sir.
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Old School Pizza in Brentwood. Right now, get half off a $30 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals. Old School Pizza features New York style thin crust made fresh to order from imported Italian flour that gives a unique flavor and crunch. Check out Happy Hour every weekday afternoon from 3 to 5 for half off selected appetizers and draft beer. Have pizza the old school way at Old School Pizza in Brentwood. OldSchoolPizzaBrentwood.com.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willie Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home. And the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game. Separate flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Caroline, you know that feeling when there's some tea going on? And
Piping hot tea.
And it's funny. Like, it's a funny situation, and then funny becomes serious real quickly, and all of a sudden it's not as funny anymore.
I feel like a lot of things with Antonio Brown kind of start that way.
Sure.
Like, it's funny, like he freezes his feet, and then it comes out that he's throwing rocks at a delivery truck, and it gets real not funny real fast.
Yeah, that is a very fair analogy. And that's what's happening right now with Kentucky basketball. So, the whole story. John Calipari told The Athletic he wants a new practice facility. And so, obviously, he's taking his anger publicly, and he tells The Athletic that they're a basketball school and they should provide for basketball, and he wants a new practice facility, and talks about how Georgia and Alabama are football schools and that they do whatever it takes for football, and Kentucky should do the same for basketball. Mark Stoops sees it, he gets mad, retweets it. Now it becomes a national story because it's coach-on-coach crime at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. And then other coaches around the SEC are playing with it.
Sure, everybody was having a good time.
Yes.
It was funny. Then on Saturday, the Kentucky football coach, Mark Stoops, had a press conference. Now, I've told you this. Mark Stoops, and he's done a great job at Kentucky for what he inherited and how, honestly, Kentucky football traditionally stinks, and they don't stink anymore. But how many times have I told you over the years, Mark Stoops is not the brightest guy in the world?
Yeah.
So that's
You've
always...
made that known.
And I like Mark Stoops, and I don't know what he thinks of me, or even if he has an opinion of me anymore. But I always kind of felt like Mark Stoops not the brightest guy in the world. But I say this because Stoops had a press conference, and he was asked about it, and he kind of doubled down on it. And then Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director at Kentucky, had a press conference. Now, let me say this about Mitch Barnhart. I've known Mitch Barnhart for 8 years. Every time we see each other, we chat. I don't have his phone number. He doesn't have mine.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't consider us friends or anything like that. I like Mitch Barnhart. And I think Mitch Barnhart's a really good athletic director. I don't think he's a great athletic director. I think he's a really good athletic director, and I think he's a really good guy. That being said, word on the street is he and Cal really have not liked each other for a long time. And that's okay, because not every relationship like that is going to be lovey-dovey. But Mitch Barnhart drew a line in the sand on Saturday that made it serious. This ratcheted the drama up a notch, because if you look at an organizational flow chart, coach is technically a subordinate of athletic director. But who's more important at Alabama, Greg Byrne or Nick Saban?
Nick Saban.
Okay. So in places that have star coaches, the coach sometimes is more powerful than the athletic director. Calipari is the basketball coach at Kentucky. He is a very famous basketball coach. And so Mitch Barnhart at his press conference Saturday in my opinion, drew the line that is, you work for me. Now, he didn't say it directly, but he definitely said it. Here's what he said on Saturday.
I have two coaches that have been with me, one 13 years and one 10 years. I can't speak to that. That's their call. But I will tell you, I'll be there with them. I'll walk with them, both of them. I've walked with them all this way. I hired them both. I gave them the opportunities to coach here, their families to come here, to win championships here, to go to bowl games here. I've walked with both of them, through both good and bad, and they both know it. They don't have to fear the administration. The administration's been right here the whole time, and we got a president that's been right here the whole time. It ain't changing. And they've been provided every opportunity to do the very things that they want to do to be successful. That isn't changing as long as I'm in the chair. We will have that support. And if that's not good enough, coaches change a lot in today's world. They do.
That right there was, I'm the boss.
Ooh.
That was, hey, you may make more money than me. You may have more commercials than me. You may go on SportsCenter more than me. You may be more public than me. I'm the boss.
I'm in control of your job.
I hired you. I supported you. I have never put you in a position where you have to fear the administration or fear me. But I'm the boss. And you know how these things go. This is coach and general manager, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the owner's going to decide. In the case of Kentucky, ultimately the university president. And if Cal wants to push the envelope, because sometimes these famous coaches that have a lot of juice, they get very upset about things like that. That public telling of, oh, you're going to tell me? Well, let's go to the president and see what the president thinks. Because who would you rather have? Would you rather have me? I'm John Calipari. And I have been operating this Kentucky basketball ship for the last 12 years. I won a national championship 10 years ago. Would you rather have me? Or would you rather like to go out in the coaching market and see if you can go get somebody who might be as good as me? Or will you kick him out to the curb? And so I don't know how Cal's going to take this. But not only that, Barnhart told a story, and I thought the kind of the symmetry that Barnhart was using with this story was, look, this was a time that I was upset with my president, or I was upset about a situation, but my boss told me what to do, and I listened to my boss, and this is, again, another I'm the boss. This is a story Mitch Barnhart told on Saturday.
Dr. Capilouto came in as a new president. He called me to his office one day. He may not remember this, and it's a true story, and I was hurt terribly by it back then. I was not. He said, stop talking about Rupp Arena. He says, that's our facility. He goes, don't say another word about it. You're not talking about it anymore. He's my boss. Guess what I did? I stopped talking about Rupp Arena. Guess what happened 9 years, 6, 8, 9 years later? We got it fixed up. It took a little longer than any of us, probably fans, anybody else wanted. It's a pretty cool place. It was a really cool place before, really cool now.
So that was, my boss told me to hush, and I hushed.
And I did, and I got what I wanted.
I didn't go to Kyle Tucker in The Athletic and say, hey, Kyle Tucker, we need to have Rupp Arena because we're a basketball school. I didn't do that. When my boss told me to hush, I hushed. And I'm telling Cal to hush. And so now the question is, ball's in Cal's court. How is Cal going to respond? And I don't know the answer. I know this. I know that the athletic director now at DePaul is a guy by the name of Dwayne Peavy. And Dwayne Peavy was an assistant athletic director, associate AD at Kentucky. And Cal and Barnhart both were friends and respected Peavy. And Peavy's gone. I know that Mike Pratt, who used to call basketball games for Kentucky, who played for Adolph Rupp, who was teammates with Pat Riley and Dan Issel, I know that Mike Pratt was respected by both John Calipari and Mitch Barnhart. And Mike Pratt passed away about 2 months ago. And so he's obviously not a part of this. But again, this went from, the Kentucky basketball coach takes a dump on the football program by saying they're a basketball school, and the football coach fires back about how they've won 4 straight bowl games, kind of mocking the fact that Kentucky lost to St. Peter's last year. That's kind of funny. Coach on coach crime. Let's laugh about it. Well, now it's serious. Mm-hmm. Because now they're getting called they're going to get called into the principal's office, the president, and I don't know how Cal's going to react to this. Because again, Mitch Barnhart has drawn the line in the sand that is, I am your boss, and you will listen to me. You might make more money than me, but I'm the boss. And I don't know how Cal's going to react to that. And the other thing about Cal, too, is the juice. Nick Saban's got juice. Cal hasn't won a championship in a decade. Cal hasn't been to the Final Four since 2015. They just got knocked out by a 15-seed St. Peter's. They disappoint every year. So how much juice does Cal really have? Because Cal is paid like a big-time championship coach, and he doesn't have as many titles as Bill Self. He doesn't have as many titles as Coach K or Roy Williams did. He didn't have as many titles as Jay Wright, 2 at Villanova. So is Kentucky really, do they look at Cal as if he is irreplaceable and that they have to do whatever it takes to make him happy? Or can they tell him to take his $8 million and shut up because he doesn't win enough?
Well, you ask, what is Calipari going to do next? I think it all depends on how he views his leverage. Because you're right. Calipari hasn't won a damn thing in quite a long time.
10 years.
And I think Kentucky fans are all waiting like, okay, when is the year that you're actually going to do something?
See, I don't know. Kentucky fans are weird because...
But I think Kentucky fans are really fed up with Calipari.
See,
after this
I
last
don't.
Year. I do.
I don't.
How
I think
are you not fed up with it?
Because Kentucky fans are weird. Kentucky fans, it's weird. It's not a small town. Like Lexington is, but like they have the entire state. It's not like, I mean, it is covered. Kentucky basketball, at least when I was there, it was covered like a New York team where every little thing was a story. Yeah. Everything. I mean, it had multiple beat writers from all these different outlets. There are more people who cover Kentucky basketball than there are who cover the Titans on a daily basis.
That is insane.
And so I've experienced it. But at the same time, there's like this small market mentality of it's a really Homer-centric environment. And it's almost like Kentucky fans, they love Calipari's recruiting. They love all these one-and-dones, even though they never win anything with them outside of Anthony Davis. They love them because they feel like every year when they get that player, it's like, oh, this is our year. We got Jamal Murray. It's like, we got Jamal Murray. This is going to be our year. And so that excitement, it's a consistent cycle. It's almost kind of like Tennessee basketball, except more intense.
Yeah.
Where Tennessee basketball fans are upset for about a day after Rick Barnes underachieves in the postseason, and then they move on and they start getting excited about the next season. The difference is that the highs are way higher and the lows are way lower. And the bar is way higher at Kentucky than it is at Tennessee. And so I thought after the St. Peter's loss, I thought that Cal was not going to be fired or anything.
Hot seat.
But I definitely thought that it was time for Cal to start winning. But then I kind of died off and Cal went back to being Cal. So
well, then to that point, then Cal might feel like he has all the leverage. And then it depends on, to your point, it's the president's ultimate decision. So is the president going to look at Cal and the AD and say, look, AD, I can replace you, but this is John Califreaking-Perry, and I can't replace him.
See, I don't
know how the president feels.
And I don't know this. If Eli Capilouto, the president, tells Cal, like, hey, Mitch Barnhart has said that he's got to take care of Memorial Coliseum, which is where the women's team plays. They need to take care of Memorial Coliseum. They got to take care of softball. They got to take care of all these things. And then they will get back and they will take care of the craft center. You know, kind of a know your place, Cal. Mm-hmm. How will Cal feel about that? I don't know. Will Cal look to jump to the NBA because of it? I don't know. You know,
this is where, a spot for him in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. This is where the ego thing and the respect thing and all, this is where it all comes into play. And this is why these are the unknowns. Which side is the president going to take? How is Cal going to react if it's not his side? And again, but Mitch Barnhart, in my opinion, Mitch Barnhart's drawn his line in the sand. And it's serious. I could see a scenario where Cal ends up leaving. Because I think Cal's kind of tired of Kentucky, too.
Will Cal leave on his own accord? Or will that be the president saying...
They can't fire him.
Oh, they can't?
No, I mean, the contract, they give him a lifetime contract, which I thought was stupid when it happened.
That is dumb.
It's definitely been even stupider by the lack of results since they've done it. I mean, it's something like an $84 million contract, and there's really no way out of it. So Kentucky
It would have to be Cal leaving on his own accord.
They can't fire him, but they can basically tell him, like, hey, you have to straighten up. And...
Well, if they can't fire him, then what's stopping him from not straightening up?
Well, if you don't straighten up, then that becomes like insubordination, and then you get fired for cause. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of, this is where it gets tricky, right? Like nobody wants to have that conversation, but that's where it is. So let's get your reaction on this. Again, Kentucky basketball last week, it was funny. because Kentucky is a basketball school and everybody knows it. But now it's serious. And the football coach, in my opinion, he's out of this. It's between the AD and the president and Cal. And it wouldn't shock me if Cal ends up walking the plank. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get to your phones on this. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
Is brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Are you ready for this? You've never seen the PBR like this. Buckle up for the ultimate weekend in Western sports as the PBR Team Series invades Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, August 19th through the 21st. 8 teams, 3 days, 1 champion. Don't miss your chance to watch history as it's made. Get your tickets now at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. PBR Team Series. Bull riding will never be the same.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Rounds, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit 1 per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
What did you think about the press conference down there with Coach Stoops? Any reaction to that?
You know, I said the wrong thing. Mark and I will be fine. We'll get back and talk about it. You know, I'm not real smart, and sometimes it doesn't come out the right way. That's my Italian in me, but we'll be fine.
On Calipari, there you go. They were in the Bahamas. That was on SEC Network or whatever. No, that interview wasn't. That was one of the local people that was in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. But Kentucky just spent like the last 4 days playing Bahamian teams. You know, the little bonding trip or whatever they did.
Cute.
But said right there, you know, I said something I shouldn't have said about the football program. Yeah, probably true. But now it's ratcheted up to serious. When he said it, it was kind of funny. Now it's serious. The athletic director basically saying if they don't want to, if it's funny because he talks about the two coaches, Stoops and Cal. Like if they don't want to be okay with this, then coaches change. He's not talking about Stoops. It's about Cal. It's about him and Calipari. Do you have a thought or you want to go to the phones?
Well, taking a break to marinate on our discussion last segment, I don't think that it's going to get to the point where Calipari leaves. Because he has the most cush job right now.
It's pretty cush.
He's got the cash. He's got the pedigree of the program.
He's the most important guy in the state.
100%. And I get it. You could say, well, he could leave for the NBA. He might be able to use that as leverage. But does he really want to work his way up, really from the bottom up in the NBA?
So
I wouldn't if I were him.
It's tricky with Cal. Cal's used the NBA as leverage about 15 times since the day he got to Kentucky.
And he's going to continue to use it because it works.
But
at what point is it a boy crying wolf?
His life was so miserable when he ran the Nets and picked Kerry Kittles over Kobe Bryant. And the story about how Kobe's agent, Arn Tellem, about how they hoodwinked Cal. I mean, it was embarrassing how they hoodwinked Cal. The general manager at the time, I believe it was Bobby Marks. I want to say it was Bobby Marks. Bobby Marks was like, Cal, they're bluffing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, I think the idea was, Kobe wants to be away because this is New Jersey at the time, the New Jersey Nets. Now they're in Brooklyn. But it was almost like Kobe, needs to be away from his family in Philadelphia, so out west would probably be better. And then Kobe's agent said, if you take Kobe, we'll never, ever do business with the Nets again or something like that. And Kobe, because of that, Cal got scared and ended up drafting Kerry Kittles. And considering that most people listening right now have never heard of Kerry Kittles, I think Kerry Kittles said that even if he were picking at that point in time, he would have picked Kobe over him. And so that tells you how Cal is in the NBA.
Right.
So, no. Do I think Cal wants to go to the NBA? No. But, again, this goes back to respect. This goes back to for all I've done for this program, they were irrelevant when they had Tubby Smith, and they were terrible when they had Billy Gillespie. And for everything I've done for this program in this city, and for them to treat me like this just because I said what I said, screw them. I'll show them. There is a possibility that Cal does that. But I do think that Cal...
How much of it is just bluffing?
I bet Cal doesn't feel like he has the juice that he feels like he used to have when they were winning more. And you can't lose to St. Peter's. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. What do we have?
Josh texts in and says, my frustration with Calipari is his results with recruiting. How many current NBA players can you name from Duke, UNC, and Kansas versus the current UK NBA players?
There's so many UK NBA players. What's
I would
the
say
point of that
recruiting
text?
is probably the only thing that Kentucky fans shouldn't feel bad about.
No, they
recruit. Get the players in. They just can't win in the postseason.
I mean, I believe
that's the problem.
I believe Oscar Tshiebwe was the National Player of the Year last year, and he's coming back to Kentucky. So the getting of the players is not Calipari's problem. The winning with the players. The winning with the players has always been Cal's problem.
And that's why the winning is a problem because you have
Memphis
so many good
with Derrick
players.
Rose. It was why he didn't win with John Wall. The 2015 Kentucky team had Devin Booker on the bench, and they didn't win. They won every game until they got to the Final Four, and they lost to Kansas, again with Devin Booker sitting on the bench. And so, the idea that they're frustrated that Cal's not recruiting, that's not accurate. The problem is the winning. They've got the National Player of the Year, and they lose to St. Peter's? Seriously? St. Peter's? I didn't even know who the hell St. Peter's was.
I had to Google it.
Like, when they announced the brackets and they were like, Kentucky will play St. Peter's, I'm like, who is that? Who was St. Peter? And then I found out that St. Peter's the one at the gates.
I don't know. The gates you're talking
Yeah,
about.
St. Peter's the one, I guess, supposedly. I mean, I'm not Catholic, but supposedly St. Peter is the one that you talk to when you reach the gates, and St. Peter is kind of like the bouncer, I would assume. He lets you know if you're in or you're out.
I don't know. I guess that's a fair analogy. There's just something feels a little sacrilegious about calling St. Peter a bouncer.
He's the one at the pearly gates. Now, the St. Peter's Peacocks told Kentucky that they were not allowed in the club in the first round of the tournament. What's next?
Mike checks in. I'm assuming that Mike is a Kentucky fan. Says, I would rather have Mitch Barnhart over John Calipari.
Mitch Barnhart's good athletic director. Now, how good of an athletic director? That's a fair question. But I personally believe that Mitch Barnhart is a pretty good athletic director. He struggled with baseball a little bit to get it right.
Still not great.
Not going to be disappointed over there too much because college baseball is really not that big of a deal. But
if you have a choice of being good or bad, you would choose good. And Kentucky baseball is not very good.
No, but I mean they're pretty much good at everything else. Like they're good at football. They're really good at basketball. Although how much does that have to do with Barnhart? He did hire Cal. They're okay. They're good at women's basketball. They're the number one pick this year. It's almost like Calipari's coaching the women's team because they had the number 1 overall pick, but I think they lost to like Princeton in the first round, which they won the SEC.
Yeah,
they
won
beat
the
South
SEC.
Carolina, and they beat South Carolina, won the SEC, and then they turned around and lost, I think, to Princeton in the first round of the NCAA tournament, which is so Calipari that it absolutely hurts. You want to know a fun fact about Calipari at Kentucky?
I would love to hear a fun fact.
Calipari, the year that he won the national championship at Kentucky, did not win the SEC tournament. Who won the SEC tournament that year?
What year was it?
2012.
Tennessee?
No, Ian. Kentucky.
Vandy.
There you go.
Ah, I did not know that.
Kevin Stallings and Vandy won the SEC championship, and Stallings wept like a baby on the bench with the towel in his eyes, and I was so proud as a Vanderbilt fan, but also as a Louisville student, to have Vanderbilt beat Kentucky. It was like it was a joy
doubled down.
of honor in my life. Little did I know
Joy and an honor.
that Kevin Stallings would go on to do a very Kevin Stallings-like thing and lose in the second round of the tournament as the favored team against Wisconsin, and that loss would allow Kentucky to recalibrate, and they would beat Louisville in the Final Four in New Orleans. And so ultimately, it ended up not being a good thing. And then, of course, we were stuck with Kevin Stallings for another 4 years coaching Vanderbilt. Now, the one thing I would say about Stallings is, as much as I dog Stallings, ever since he left, Vanderbilt may have actually been worse. And their coach right now, Jerry Stackhouse, is just as bad, if not worse than Stallings. Probably significantly worse than Stallings. And I'm an anti-Stallings guy. But Vandy did at one point, actually, Vandy was good at basketball. What else we got?
Adam in Portland is accusing you of stirring stuff up with Kentucky.
How? I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Nobody listening to this right now has the juice to be able to do something about this Mitch Barnhart-Cal drama.
Just saying.
There's not
Just
one
reporting the
person
text.
listening to this that has the juice to make what I said a bigger deal than what it is. Now, I will say this. You think I care? If all of a sudden Mitch Barnhart's like, you know, Jared made a really great point. And
yeah, I think you'd care.
I mean, selfishly, like from an egotistical standpoint, I would enjoy it. But as far as like, would it affect my day of...
I think you would love it on all avenues, selfishly, and because your little Louisville Cardinal heart would be pumping red blood because Louisville could have a chance against Kentucky.
I mean, I don't hate Cal as the coach of Kentucky. Like, I as a Louisville fan, I don't look at Cal as some immovable object that the Louisville Cardinals...
But is he not kind of an immovable object?
I don't know. We win plenty against him. We beat him the last time we played him. I mean, the Calipari thing, I mean, you know, it's one of those things. We lost to them in the Final Four in 2012. The next year we won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, how much do I... The 2014 game was a Sweet 16 game. They beat us, I believe, in overtime. And that was a great basketball game.
Yeah.
But I looked at it as we didn't play very well that night. Not that Cal is some super coach and we can't overcome him. I don't have a problem with Calipari. My bigger problem right now is with Kentucky football, because we should not be losing to Kentucky football. And not only are we losing, but we're getting killed. And on top of it, it used to be that we would recruit like the really good quarterbacks, and we would win with good quarterbacks like a Brian Brom or a Lamar Jackson or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, now Stoops, and Levis is supposedly a good quarterback, but Stoops has done almost all his winning at Kentucky without the benefit of having a good program-changing level quarterback. Like Steven Johnson didn't elevate the program or wasn't, you know, a superstar, and Touchdown Terry wasn't a superstar, and Patrick Tolles, and they've never had that guy. And it's frustrating that Kentucky can beat us as much as they've beaten us when we have had better quarterbacks. We lost to them with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. How? That is
really
that
an
angers me. The Calipari losing in basketball, that I don't mind. The bigger thing here, and this shows you like maybe how much of a like detached Louisville fan I am. I mean, I'm a really big Louisville fan. And somebody that I would consider, like when I was in college, an older brother to me is now their athletic director. But I mean, I like Mitch Barnhart and I like Cal, and I don't want these guys to lose their jobs. I mean, I don't know how well, Cal knows me. I mean, I don't know if he does know me. I mean, I've had Cal on the show, run into Cal a couple times, but again, I don't really have a relationship at all with Calipari.
Yeah.
Stoops, I haven't talked to in like 5 or 6 years. Barnhart, I like Barnhart. I think he likes me. But I don't want those guys to lose their jobs. And I don't think that it's like that they've done anything that has offended me or anything like that. But I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real that when the athletic director comes out, an athletic director makes less than star coach. And when the athletic director comes out and says that if they don't, talking about the football and the basketball coach, but really talking about the basketball coach, because Stoops will get in line.
Yeah.
If he's sitting there saying, if they don't want to get in line and they don't want to do it this way, as long as I'm here, coaches change all the time. That is you work for me. And that, with egos and everything else, that can bubble over a relationship that already wasn't very good. Now, that has nothing to do with me. And I'm just telling you, it was funny at first with that, like, Kentucky's an everything school bull crap. Like, that was funny because nobody believes that. But now it's serious. So,
when the AD starts calling shots and puts his thumb down on both Stoops and Calipari and says, hey, I'm in charge.
Like, Danny White at Tennessee is a very for-the-camera athletic director.
Oh, yeah.
He likes the camera. Mitch Barnhart does not. Mitch Barnhart is a very religious guy. He is a very he keeps to himself for the most. I mean, it's not like he's not personable. He is, but he's not a showy person. So for him to get up there and say what he said, that tells you what his frustration level really is.
Oh, yeah.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back to more of your phones on this. And 615-737-1025. Frank Reich. Boy, Frank Reich had a take. And some Titan fans were super, super salty about this Frank Reich take. And I got to tell you, I think it's good news for the Titans, if it's true. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Titans training camp is underway.
Talking Titans?
What wide receivers make the team?
Traylon Burks, the physicality. Robert Woods, route concepts and how to get open.
Who starts on the offensive line?
It's a full-on right tackle battle.
What other storylines will stand out?
Malik Willis, some of the best he's looked in camp.
Titans training camp coverage is fueled by Parman Energy. Now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com and by USA Hemp Store on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the beach is just the beginning. Because here, there's so much more to explore. So let's paddle, and maybe even parasail. Let's hit the trails, the coffee shops, the quaint boutiques, and craft breweries. And then let's indulge in some fresh seafood with a sea view. From the Gulf Coast to the Bay, there's something for every taste and every interest. So let's make the most of every sun-drenched minute, and let's shine. Start planning your next escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Hey, it's Jared. Have you ever had a room that just won't cool down like the rest of your home? My room upstairs where I've got all the TVs always felt uncomfortable in the summer, but this year I put in a ductless mini splint from Mitsubishi Electric. This ductless style heating and cooling system allows me to set a temperature for just that part of the house, and I didn't have to remodel or install any ductwork to put it in. My friends at Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical are experts at installing these systems. You can book your appointment in minutes online, like I do with my phone, and their techs will make sure that your new system is installed exactly how it was designed. Hiller techs are background and drug screened, and their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free 100% satisfaction guarantee. If your home isn't keeping your family cool, you need to call Hiller and upgrade to a Mitsubishi Electric Zone Comfort System. This month only, take $1,200 off qualifying Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splint HVAC systems. Visit happyhiller.com today to learn more.
Are you sick and tired of constant pain in your knees, hips, or back? Especially this time of the year. You need to be moving pain-free, right? Hey, Willie Donick here for the team at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, giving them lasting pain relief using the latest advances in regenerative medicine. The science is simple. They concentrate your own body's healing agents and apply them to your aching joints, restoring and repairing the damaged tissue. No drugs, no steroids, no surgery. The old remedies for pain are not the only remedies. You need to learn more about how regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can change your life. Make this the last summer you suffer from chronic pain. They've got clinics here and all over America. This is the exciting new, natural way to deal with joint pain. No side effects, no downtime. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I know they didn't have Jonathan Taylor out there, but other than that, it was their starting offensive line, starting receivers, Matt Ryan at quarterback. What did you think of Indianapolis's offense on Saturday?
They looked a little rusty. It didn't look like Matt Ryan was completely comfortable with the guys out on the outside. Certainly the Bills had some very young corners on the edges, Kyer Elam and Christian Benford, a first-round draft pick and a sixth-round draft pick, and they played extremely well, those young guys. They were very happy with how those guys played. They were extremely happy with the coverage they had in the back end. But I can't chalk it all up to the great play of those young corners. I think a little of it was the chemistry that's still building with Matt Ryan and those guys on Indianapolis.
That was Steve Tasker, longtime NFL player, longtime CBS analyst who was doing the Bills game. And you heard him right there saying, hey, the Bills' second-string defense played great, but Matt Ryan and that offense, they need to get it together. So Titans fans on Twitter sent this to me. This must have come from some fantasy thing. So apparently Frank Reich was talking to the media about Jonathan Taylor. And I guess there is a fantasy question about Jonathan Taylor getting fewer touches this season. And these Titans fans tweeted me and they were like, is this Frank Reich taking a shot at the Titans? And so I'll just read what it is and then we can evaluate. Okay. But I think there's something really important in this as well. Quote, Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor could see a reduction in volume this coming season, according to Stephen Holder of ESPN. Stephen Holder covers the team for ESPN like TD covers the Titans.
Got it.
According to Holder, head coach Frank Reich told him that the goal is to win a championship, not make Taylor the MVP or rushing leader. If they need to cut back on his volume in order to accomplish that, so be it. Quote, you don't see the teams that have this ground and pound run game win championships, he said. Our best formula is to be balanced. I'm not saying he won't lead the league in touches because you never know how things are going to play out, but I almost don't want him to. This shouldn't deter fantasy managers from drafting Taylor at the 1.1 this draft season. So again, the quotes from Reich in here are I don't want him to win the MVP or the rushing title. We want to win championships. And I'm not saying he's not going to lead the league in touches, but I'm saying he's not going to lead the league in touches. So the idea of you can't win a championship, according to Frank Reich, the ground and pound style doesn't win a championship, so they need to be more dynamic on offense. Is that a shot at the Titans?
It might be a shot at the Titans, but I think more importantly, can we point out how dumb that is?
So we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, great.
My thing is, I don't think Frank Reich takes shots at people. So I think that Frank Reich truly believes.
But you don't think that there's at least a little bit of Titan undertone in that statement? We don't need him to win the rushing title. He doesn't need to, lead the league in touches a la Derrick Henry. We don't win that way. We don't care about those kinds of things.
Truthfully, no.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
I do not see it, only because I don't think Frank Reich does that. I think Frank Reich is one of the nicest people, and I've never met Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich must be one of the most nice and positive people ever. And that's why Carson Wentz didn't like Doug Peterson, but he liked Frank Reich. Frank Reich is a good cop, and Frank Reich needs a bad cop. And maybe Doug Peterson was that bad cop in Philadelphia, and then Reich left, and then Peterson was the bad cop and didn't have a good cop in there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think that Frank Reich takes shots like that. And I don't think, again, the Titans have won the division the last 2 years. I don't think Frank Reich is in any position to take shots. He's won one playoff game as the head coach of the Colts. Now, Vrabel's won 2, so it's not like Vrabel has won 55 playoff games and Reich's won 1, but Vrabel's gotten to an AFC championship and Reich hasn't.
But also, even if Frank Reich is, throwing shots at the Titans, why does it matter?
I would agree. I mean,
It doesn't.
It's like when I asked Vrabel about the Colts, and Vrabel was like, "Oh yeah, we gotta play them and the Texans and the Jags." And I was like, if I was Indianapolis, I'd be throwing that on the screen, and I'd be saying Vrabel's disrespecting the Colts and everything else. But in reality, probably wasn't. Maybe it doesn't matter that much. Maybe it does. The things that players get mad about nowadays. It can be
They
the
get
smallest
fueled by
little
a lot of different things. Whenever you're getting so much respect and love, sometimes you got to pull the disrespect from anything.
In the Jeter documentary, the Yankees got upset in the Subway Series when they played the Mets in the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
They got upset because before Game 3, you know the song, though, Who Let the Dogs Out song?
Yeah.
So the Baja Men played, that was their song.
Yeah.
That was their only song.
I had their CD when I was little.
And can you name any of the names of the other songs on that CD?
Don't need to.
So the Baja Men were on the field prior to Game 3 at then Shea Stadium, and they played the Who Let the Dogs Out.
Yeah.
And the Yankees were so offended that the Mets would put the Baja Men out on their field that it was like, how dare this low-rent organization put the Baja Men out here? So, again, players get offended by the smallest little thing. So who knows what everybody gets offended by. I just don't think that that's a shot. And so if you're a Titan fan and you heard that from Frank Reich about, I don't believe ground and pound wins, think 2 things. 1, you're a baby. Stop the crying.
Yeah.
And 2, more importantly, I hope Frank Reich does think that.
If he does that, I think it is the best scenario for the Titans because I only view the Colts a legitimate threat to the Titans when Jonathan Taylor is a major player in that offense.
Well, they can't win without Jonathan Taylor.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I know. But they seem to think they want to be more dynamic. They want to be more multifaceted.
I understand wanting to be that, but also let's just be a little bit self-aware here.
Sure.
And recognize who you are and what you have.
Well, I don't want the Titans to be more dynamic offensively. I want the Titans to run the football.
I want the Titans to run the football with Derrick Henry, and if that doesn't work anymore, then you can go from there.
Now, I am worried about something, and this is to the point of what Reich said about winning championships. I know the Titans can get to the AFC Championship game running the football. I know the Titans can win the division running the football.
Can they win the Super Bowl?
I know the Titans can get the number 1 seed running the football. Can the Titans do that? Can the Titans get past the path in the AFC is going to be, Derek Carr or Justin Herbert, then Josh Allen, then Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
And can a team outrun all of those guys?
They can do it once.
Here's the thing about the Titans, though, is that Buffalo, they wouldn't have had to play, obviously, because Buffalo lost to Kansas City.
Right.
But going back to last year, they freaking manhandled the Chiefs here. And I think that they manhandled them so well that wasn't Kansas City had a bad game. That was the style with which the Titans were playing last season. And every season is different. And Kansas City is going to be a different team this year without Tyreek Hill. They might be better, they might be worse. I couldn't tell you. But they're going to be different. But the Titans so manhandled Kansas City. And it really started up front on both lines, but especially the Titans' defensive line versus the Chiefs' offensive line. And the way the defensive line was playing in the playoffs last year, I would only have assumed that would have happened again. So the Titans, I think, could have gotten to the Super Bowl running the football the way that they've run it. Could they have beaten the Rams again after McVay would have been able to look at the tape, knowing that the Rams would have had 2 weeks to stew on the Sunday Night Football loss, the embarrassment that the Titans put on them? Would that have made a difference. And again, we can keep going back to that.
But also, to that point, I feel like the Chiefs figured something out after that Titans game.
I don't think that the Chiefs...
They didn't lose a single game after they lost to the Titans.
Is that true?
Yes, I'm looking at their schedule right now. Beat the Giants the next week, 2017. Beat the Packers, 13-7.
Now, that was the Jordan Love Packers.
Yes, but
and,
still,
by the way,
a win's a win.
Jordan Love sucks.
Well, I don't think that's any new
I
information.
watched Friday night. Trey Lance looked like a freaking awesome freaking superstar. Jordan Love sucks. Like I was texting Robbie. I'm like, he sucks. Go on.
But beat the Raiders 41-14, beat the Cowboys 19-9, beat the Broncos 22-9, beat the Raiders again 48-9, beat the Chargers 34-28, beat the Steelers 36-10, and then lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game 34-31. They did
that
not
Chargers
lose.
game was the last game of the year?
Steelers was the last game of the year.
No, the Steelers was the wild card round.
Oh, then yes. Then the last game of the year
That was the Brandon Staley screw up?
No, the Brandon Staley screw up was the next week against the Raiders.
No. The Brandon Staley screw up against the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football.
Oh, yeah, December 16th.
That must have been when it was.
Mm-hmm.
When Brandon Staley had 2 field goals in the first half that he didn't kick.
Yes.
And the game went to overtime.
I'm mixing up all of my Brandon Staley screw-ups.
Yeah, he screwed up a lot last
Mm-hmm.
year.
So they did not lose a single game after they lost.
I mean, I hope the Colts throw the football. And the way those receivers...
That's good for the Titans.
Those receivers on Saturday, they were horrible against the Bills. They were horrible. 615-737-1025. We'll take your phones on the program. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
2, 3, 4, look out! High school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Game Blitz, presented by Apple Collision Centers.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Looking quiet as we head through the remainder of the evening hours. Temperatures drop back to around 70 through the overnight. Looking at highs in the mid-80s for Tuesday. Can't rule out a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When you need electronics or appliances, find great deals in-store or online at Electronic Express. Save big on favorite brands like Samsung, GE, Nintendo, iRobot, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, and more. Save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage. Whether you are buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Cromwell Media, who owns this radio station, is observing a significant milestone this month. Our founder, Bud Walters, is celebrating his 50th year as president. Joining Bud with anniversaries of their own are Max Hurst and Scott Meyer with 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and Ryan Burke in our sales department is also celebrating 1 year with us. From 1 year to 50 years, Cromwell Media is a great place to work, and you're invited to join us. Send an email to together@cromwellmedia.com and tell us about yourself. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
Robbie Stanley.
It really doesn't matter until the pads come on and you have to hit each other, you have to block.
Joe Rexrode.
Reliable, go out and make some plays for you. Solid player.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company got a big baseball game to watch tonight. By the way, so yesterday I was throwing out the first pitch at the Sounds. Went to the Sounds game.
Very proud of you.
I probably threw the ball like 5 feet over Booster's head, right?
Yeah, I saw the video, and he didn't even try to catch it. He just looked up at the ball.
I would say that I do have a little bit of an issue with Booster not really
you
trying to
go
get the
ahead
ball.
and take that up with Booster.
But
whip him into shape.
I told him when they did, like he came up to me, like when we, shook hands or whatever, took the picture. I'm like, dude, you got to at least try to get the ball. Like,
Making me look bad.
So everybody's acting like that's a bad first pitch. Let me explain something.
Is everybody acting like that?
Everybody's acting to me like that.
Okay.
So let me explain something to everybody out there. 'Cause I think this is very important. I don't mind. The reality as far as manhood is concerned.
Okay.
If I bounce the ball,
it's very delicate.
My manhood gets questioned. The idea that I could not get the ball to the plate. Right?
I would make fun of you. That's
nobody, when I throw it up into the fifth row, nobody, and again, it was online. It just was like literally 6 feet above Booster's head.
Joe Milton.
Literally. Malik Willis.
Yeah.
But when that happens, nobody's questioning, does Jared have the arm strength to be able to get the ball 60 feet? Which was my number. I looked at it as I had two choices. I could try to throw a strike, or I could make sure I didn't bounce it.
And I think the latter is the most important.
I took the safe throw.
You're not getting called up.
And I was disappointed because I did want to get a couple of practice cracks at it. If I had a practice throw, which I told the Sounds, like, can I?
Shoulda,
well, so I was like, can I go down and throw that? Oh, no, can't do that. Restricted area because of COVID. I'm like, COVID? I'm like, nobody talks about COVID
it's
anymore.
2022.
The only thing is that people talk about COVID is when they don't want to do something. It's like, I would, but COVID.
Yeah.
But so,
I would love to go to your baby shower, but I have
COVID.
Yeah.
So, like, COVID. So, anywho, like, I went down to the bullpen just to, like, kind of get, like, a mental gauge. And I could have tried. And since I didn't try to throw it hard, honestly, I probably could have gotten it there. Like, I probably could have gotten it, like, to Booster's head because Booster has a big head. So I probably could have just aimed for the head and gotten it, and it would have been fine. But I absolutely, positively did not want to bounce it. And so my dad, my friends went to the game, and so I had talked to them before I threw it, and I told them the story that in 2015, when I was throwing out the first pitch at the Sounds game, Floyd said to me, he was like, whatever you do, no matter what, like, you do not bounce that ball. And he said it in a much sterner tone. And he didn't really say a lot of things with that kind of stern tone, but that was one of them. And so I remember when he said that, and I remember feeling the pressure. And I guess, now that he's dead, I guess I feel the similar pressure about I cannot allow. I'm in a group chat with people that one of them says, that's worse than bouncing it. And the other one who played baseball is like, no it's absolutely not worse than bouncing it. Bouncing it is a sign of weakness. And I was not willing to bounce the ball. Throwing it over the mascot's head.
You just got to work on your accuracy there.
Is a sign of strength. This kid that went after me was a Vanderbilt Children's Hospital kid. And he had, survived. I think he had like a really tough, I forget exactly what it was, so I don't really want to talk about it. But he, was doing great. And he threw from the front of the mound, and he bounced it there. And I told him, great job, great pitch. And it was a good pitch. But I'm not a kid. So bouncing the ball is not acceptable for me.
Well, and after all of the hard time that you gave me last year leading up to my first pitch, you reminded me daily, do not bounce that ball. I would have given you hell if you would have bounced that ball.
Did I ever tell you to throw a strike? Was my expectation ever for you to hit the catcher? I mean, I remember.
It was for me, but not from you.
No. The only thing that I've ever. Chase bounced the ball. And did I not let Chase have it when Chase bounced the ball?
I believe Darren may have bounced the ball as well.
Guys, what are we doing? Like, to me, that's what I'm saying. I gave Chase the business when he bounced the ball. You can't bounce the ball. So I didn't bounce the ball. I made sure.
Glad you didn't.
The two things I made sure of. One, I threw from the rubber. I'm not going to throw from the base of the mound.
Another thing you made sure that I did.
You throw that ball from the rubber. Two, I didn't bounce it. May have airmailed it. If I had gotten one throw in, then I would have been able to judge it like, oh, okay, I don't have to. Because the mound, you're then throwing off the mound. I'm throwing down. So I wanted to make sure. Plus, the other times that I made sure that I didn't bounce it, they ended up being strikes. So I figured the third time it would work. This time I just happened to airmail booster. But somebody from the Sounds texted me and was like, oh, I'm not, that wasn't a good pitch or whatever. I'm like, I had one goal, and I accomplished
that
my
box
goal.
was checked.
Yeah.
Very proud of you. I hope you had fun on Sunday.
Thank you. That's it for us. We're out of here. ESPN Radio coming up next. Stillman and Company. We'll see you all tomorrow.